Chapter 157. There are only 2 chapters left for today. The author does not have a stockpile of manuscripts, so he will publish as much as he writes. The description of today's battle scene really took the author a lot of effort to write. If you don't like it, you are welcome to give your opinions. The author will slowly improve in the future. But since Yi Tianzong had prepared a big move, how could he allow these 3 demon envoys who almost defeated him to escape? He had already prepared for them to escape. The moment the 3 demon envoys were about to escape, Yi Tianzong had already displayed the Qian Kuan force field. With the support of Haoren's morality, Yi Tianzong divided his attention into 2. On one hand, he fully activated the Qian Kuan force field, binding the 3 demon envoys and making it difficult for them to move. On the other hand, Haoren's everlasting had already reached the end. After another second, Haoren's everlasting was completed. The 3 demon envoys who were bound by the Qian Kuan force field also desperately urged the power in their bodies to use secret techniques to break free from the Qian Kuan force field. Seeing that they were about to break free, it was already too late. Yi Tianzong controlled the golden flames condensed from Haoren's morality and flew towards the 3 demon envoys. The 3 demon envoys had just broken free from the Qian Kuan force field. Before they could even breathe a sigh of relief, a crisis that made them despair arrived. The golden flames quickly flew behind the 3 demon envoys. Under Yi Tianzong's indifferent gaze, they instantly exploded into a sea of golden flames that quickly spread over a radius of 10 miles. The moment the golden flames exploded, the 3 demon envoys who were close by bore the brunt of it. Haoren's morality restrained the dark and evil energy between heaven and earth. The moment the golden flames condensed from Haoren's morality exploded, the 3 demon envoys were submerged in the torrent of Haoren's morality. In the sea of flames of Haoren's morality, the 3 demon envoys struggled several times before finally cursing Yi Tianzong unwillingly and disappearing from the world. The golden Haoren righteous fire sea spread across the sky for a radius of 10 miles. It lasted for a quarter of an hour before it gradually dissipated. After the sea of fire dissipated, 3 drops of black, demonic blood containing extreme dark and gloomy power appeared in the sky. The black, demonic blood contained a trace of indestructible will. Even after being burned in the sea of fire formed by Haoren's morality for a quarter of an hour, it remained unharmed. Looking at the 3 drops of demon blood in the air, Yi Tianzong could feel the inextinguishable will and extreme strength that surpassed any energy in the world. After thinking for a moment, Yi Tianzong guessed that these 3 drops of demon blood should be the demon blood of the existence suppressed in the depths of this world. No wonder my soul attack was ineffective. It seems like you really put in a lot of effort. Your true body is being suppressed, but you actually used your own blood to create 3 demon envoys to kill me, Yi Tianzong. Should I feel honored? Humph. Yi Tianzong sneered in his heart and did not continue to think about these things. He would think about it later. With a wave of his hand, he stored the 3 drops of demon blood in the immortal mansion. Yi Tianzong maintained the state of activating the Haoren heavenly river as he turned around and headed toward the vast battlefield below. Accompanied by the mighty and surging golden heavenly river, Yi Tianzong appeared in the vast battlefield with a dazzling momentum. Wearing golden armor, holding a golden divine sword, and shining with a dazzling golden light, Yi Tianzong appeared on the battlefield like a savior from outer space. Because of Yi Tianzong's appearance, the vast and majestic young divine aura filled the sky for a radius of 1,000 miles. The dark clouds that originally covered tens of thousands of miles above Haoranjin Sek's Tiangang Peak were instantly washed away by the mighty Haoren heavenly river and dissipated for thousands of miles. The sunlight that represented hope shone through the sky for thousands of miles and shone on the earth. Yi Tianzong's appearance in such a flashy and dazzling manner attracted the attention of both the human race and the demon race within a radius of 10,000 miles. Their reactions to this were different. The martial artists of Hao, Ranj, and sect were naturally delighted and in a state of worship. Originally, they were at a disadvantage because they were dealing with enemies several times their number. However, when they saw Yi Tianzong's powerful and dazzling appearance, their spirits were immediately lifted. Their injured and tired bodies seemed to have eaten a panacea and were filled with strength again. On the other hand, the originally high morale of the Abyss demon races side instantly fell by a notch. In particular, the higher-ups of the demon race's 4 royal clans felt their hearts sink to the bottom. Yi Tianzong's appearance in such a high-profile manner indicated that the 3 demon envoys that they relied on had failed, or even finished. No one could understand the origin and terror of the 3 demon envoys better than them. The 3 demon envoys were the Wushang demon ancestor that lived in the depths of the Earth's core. They were the most stunning and monstrous geniuses of the demon race. The strength of each of the demon envoys was simply unimaginable. Just one of them alone was enough to beat up thousands of 6th heavenly layer saint level experts of the demon race. With the 3 demon envoys together and the tripartite formation that could gather their strength, what kind of existence could resist them? Any higher-ups of the demon race who had seen the strength of the demon envoys believed that no one could stop the 3 demon envoys. Any human expert would die without a burial place in front of the 3 demon envoys. This was also the reason why they were so confident in attacking Hao Ranjin sect, even though they knew that Yi Tianzong's strength was extremely terrifying. At the beginning, it was just as they had expected. Under normal circumstances, even if Yi Tianzong had already transcended the shackles of his previous life, he would still be suppressed by the 3 demon envoys. It was just that they and the 3 demon envoys never thought that Yi Tianzong actually had a trump card up his sleeve. As soon as the boundless divine sword and the boundless sword technique were used, the 3 demon envoys were eliminated cleanly. Seeing Yi Tianzong appear on the battlefield unscathed, and the 3 demon envoys were nowhere to be seen, the higher-ups of the demon race's 4 royal clans had a very bad premonition in their hearts. This assassination mission that they had planned for more than 10 years was probably going to fail. Who could stop a super expert that even the 3 demon envoys could not do anything to? After Yi Tianzong appeared on the battlefield, he looked at the warriors of Hao Ranjin sect, who were at a disadvantage. Without any delay, Yi Tianzong used the power of Haoran's righteous qi of heaven and earth to display the second style of the boundless sword technique, sword sweeping demons. Yi Tianzong raised the boundless divine sword up high, and the aura of his whole body exploded. Endless Haoran's righteous qi was injected into the boundless divine sword. Stop him! The higher-ups of the demon race's royal clans all shouted and summoned the saint-level experts to fly towards Yi Tianzong. From afar, they started to attack Yi Tianzong, wanting to stop Yi Tianzong from continuing his attack. When they saw Yi Tianzong's solemn look and rising aura, they knew that he was preparing a big move. Moreover, it was not an ordinary big move. It would definitely be able to cause the demon race to suffer heavy casualties. As for those demon race experts who were attacking him, although there were hundreds of them and they were still increasing, Yi Tianzong did not care. Not to mention whether they could break through the protective golden light formed by Haoran's righteous qi. Even if they could, so what? This group of demon race experts were not the same as the 3 demon envoys. A wave of divine soul attack would definitely let them know what it meant to be overestimated. Yi Tianzong launched a wave of divine soul attack at those demon race experts who were attacking him. As a result, all the demon race experts who were close to Yi Tianzong screamed and rolled on the ground with their hands on their heads. After absorbing enough of Haoran's righteous qi, a golden sword pillar with a diameter of 10 feet shot up into the sky from the boundless godly sword. Then the golden sword pillar exploded in a flash, turning into a sword curtain formed by endless golden sword qis that covered an area of tens of miles. Endless golden sword qis condensed from Haoran's righteous qi filled the sky within tens of miles. They revolved around Yi Tianzong, who was holding the boundless godly sword up high at an extremely fast speed. Go! After Yi Tianzong gave the order, innumerable sharp sword qis of Howren's righteous qi pierced towards all the demon race experts within thousands of miles. All the saint and venerable level demon race experts within thousands of miles were drowned by Howren's righteous qi. Facing the direct attack of Howren's righteous qi, all the demon race experts who were attacked by Howren's righteous qi desperately used all their offensive and defensive means to resist. The dark and evil demon race clashed with the righteous qi of Howren's righteous qi. After a short but fierce battle, which felt like a year to the demon race, over 10,000 saint and venerable level demon race experts who were attacked by Howren's righteous qi were killed. However, those who survived did not feel happy at all. Although they survived the attack of Howren's righteous qi, they had consumed a great deal of their strength. Basically, they had all suffered injuries of varying degrees. At this moment, those warriors of Hao Ranjin sect, who had been suppressed by Yi Tianzong earlier, rose up and seized this great opportunity to launch a series of fierce attacks on those demon race experts who had besieged Yi Tianzong earlier. Earlier, Yi Tianzong's enemies were outnumbered, so they could only take the beating passively. But now, because of Yi Tianzong's attacks, all the demon race experts had become weak, and their overall strength had been greatly reduced. If they didn't take revenge now, when would they? Relying on the high defensive power of their armors, those warriors of Hao Ranjin sect, who had risen up, began cursing those demon race experts in high spirits. Chapter 158. After scanning the battlefield with his divine soul, Yi Tianzong once again raised the boundless divine sword, and with the power of Howren's righteous energy, he performed the sword sweeping all demons once again. When those demons saw Yi Tianzong perform the sword technique again, they were so shocked that they immediately turned around and tried to flee from the battlefield, ignoring their human opponents. However, they were all held back by the warriors of Hao Ranjin sect, and less than a quarter of them were lucky enough to escape from the battlefield. The same scene happened again. The torrent of Howren's sword energy completely drowned those demons who failed to escape within a radius of several thousand miles. This time, none of the greatly weakened demon experts survived, as they were all killed by Howren's sword energy. After the enemies were wiped out, the warriors of Hao Ranjin sect, who had no opponents left, did not stay idle. After glancing at Yi Tianzong in amazement, they scattered in all directions to support the other warriors. After wiping out all the demons within a radius of several thousand miles, Yi Tianzong took a few steps and crossed the distance of over 10,000 miles, arriving at the other side of the vast battlefield. Repeating his previous actions, he constantly performed the sword sweeping all demons with the help of the boundless Howren's righteous energy. Every time he performed the sword sweeping all demons, the sword curtain that covered the sky, which was tens of miles in circumference, transformed into endless Howren's sword energy, posed a fatal threat to the demon experts in the abyss. Tens of thousands of saint and venerable demons were killed by Yi Tianzong's sword technique. Strolling leisurely across the vast battlefield, Yi Tianzong was like an invincible god of war. Wherever he passed, all the demon experts within his attack range were killed by the mighty torrent of sword energy. Of the two, 1,000,000 saint and venerable demons, less than 400,000 managed to escape in the end, and were being hunted down by Wu Sheng and Wu Zun of Hao Ranjin sect. The dark clouds that shrouded the Hao Ranjin sect within a radius of 100,000 miles had mostly dissipated with the cleansing of the Howren heavenly river and the defeat of the demons. The light of the setting sun could now continue to shine on the land within the Hao Ranjin sect. After eliminating the enemies in the sky battlefield, those demons who were lucky enough to escaped back to their underground strongholds. Yi Tianzong went to the two strongholds of the Abyss demons and activated Howren's righteous energy to set up the Big Dipper Formation and sealed the exits of Howren's Big Dipper Formation. After successfully sealing the exits of the 2 underground strongholds, Yi Tianzong, who consumed a lot of energy and mind, turned around and returned to Big Dipper Peak. When he passed by Haran City, he found that the battle in Haran City was coming to an end. Millions of warriors in Haran City were hunting down the demons who did not have time to evacuate. Seeing this, Yi Tianzong did not stop and returned directly to Big Dipper Peak. At this time, most of the tens of millions of demons at the level of King Wu and Marquis Wu outside Big Dipper Peak had disappeared without a trace. When Yi Tianzong killed those saint and venerable demons, the tens of millions of demons who were still attacking Big Dipper Peak had already realized that the situation was not good, and all of them began to retreat back to their strongholds. The remaining millions of demons who were still fighting were all trapped by the mountain guarding formation, or were randomly stopped by the experts of Haoranjin sect when they were retreating. Their retreat route was cut off, and they could only fight with the experts of Haoranjin sect. After the millions of human experts on Big Dipper Peak had bombarded the demons with explosive flame beads, they hid in the mountain guarding formation and did not come out. At first, the tens of millions of demons outside were still cautious and vigilant, in case they were attacked by the warriors of Haoranjin sect again. However, as they kept attacking the mountain guarding formation, the human warriors hiding in it did not come out. Gradually, the demons lowered their vigilance. In this way, the experts of the demon clan at the level of King Wu ordered the demons at the level of Marquis Wu to attack the mountain guarding formation at close range. When they saw a large number of demons approaching the mountain guarding formation, the higher-ups of Haoranjin sect on Big Dipper Peak ordered to fully activate the trapping, mazing, illusory, and killing formations in the mountain guarding formation. In a short time, the mountain guarding formation, which was originally only for defense, suddenly became violent. More than 1 million demons near the mountain guarding formation all fell into the range of the trapping, mazing, illusory, and killing formations. When the rest of the demons were still persevering in attacking the mountain guarding formation, Yi Tianzong appeared in the sky battlefield not far away like a savior. Seeing Yi Tianzong driving Haran righteousness to slaughter the experts of the demon clan, the tens of millions of demons who were crazily attacking the mountain guarding formation of Big Dipper Peak suddenly calmed down and stopped attacking. After quarreling for a while, tens of millions of demons decided to retreat back to their underground stronghold as soon as possible when Yi Tianzong had no time to pay attention to them. Of course, those people on Big Dipper Peak who had also noticed Yi Tianzong's dazzling appearance were not fools. They naturally understood that Yi Tianzong had finished off the powerful enemies and started to clean up the demons. This also meant that their side had already secured the victory of this battle. Therefore, when they noticed that the demons outside the mountain guarding formation wanted to retreat, over 3 million King Wu and Marquis Wu, who were originally hiding on Big Dipper Peak, all stepped out of the mountain guarding formation in an imposing manner and started to attack the demons outside the mountain guarding formation, directly delaying millions of demons. When those tens of millions of demons saw over 3 million human clan warriors stepping out of the mountain guarding formation in a hurry, they didn't pay much attention to them, because they knew that these human clan warriors couldn't be defeated in a short time, especially their armors, which were so strong that they couldn't break them at all. The majority of the devil race retreated in a hurry, and those who were stopped by the devil race, after realizing that they had no hope of escaping, also stimulated their innate ferocity and began to fight to the death with the cultivators of the righteous faction. Yi Tianzong didn't care about these demons who would be defeated and killed sooner or later, leaving them to the experts of Haoranjin sect to deal with. Even though Yi Tianzong's strength was great, he had consumed a lot of energy and mind by activating the boundless righteous qi of Haoran to fight and sealing the exit of the underground demon's lair. Both his spirit and body were exhausted and needed a rest very much. After returning to the Haoran palace, Yi Tianzong informed the guarding experts on the level of Wu Sheng before returning to his own residence. After that, he entered the immortal mansion to recover his energy. After resting in the immortal mansion for 8 hours, Yi Tianzong had recovered a part of his energy. However, he was worried about the situation of Ling Xinyue and his parents, so he couldn't wait to come out again before fully recovering. 8 hours in the immortal mansion was equivalent to 2 hours in the outside world. It was already night time. All the warriors of Hao Ranzhen's sect who had chased after the demons had returned to Haoran City and Tiangang Peak. Those demons who didn't escape in time had been killed. Those who were lucky enough to escape were seriously injured and couldn't pose any threat. As soon as he came out of the immortal mansion, Yi Tianzong saw Ling Xinyue, who was sitting on the bed with her legs crossed to recover her qi circulation. Ling Xinyue was still wearing her snow-white armor, outlining her graceful figure. Ling Xinyue, who was already cold and beautiful, looked even more valiant. Sensing Yi Tianzong's aura, Ling Xinyue, who was recuperating with her eyes closed, instantly opened her eyes. She stared at Yi Tianzong with her clear eyes and asked softly in a hoarse voice, "How are you? Are you hurt?" Walking forward and sitting on the bed, Yi Tianzong reached out to hold Ling Xinyue in his arms. He gently sniffed her body fragrance and said tenderly, "I'm fine, but your voice is hoarse. You don't have to work so hard. You can leave the hunting of the demons to others. Judging from your unstable aura, you must have been targeted by the demons a lot." Ling Xinyue enjoyed Yi Tianzong's embrace like a little kitten, but she said firmly, "It's okay. This is what I should do. I don't want to be too far away from you." Although he knew what she meant, Yi Tianzong still patted Ling Xinyue's perky but lovingly and said with some amusement, "Little girl, what are you talking about? How can we be too far away? You will become more and more outstanding in the future, and I will never leave you. Don't say such silly things in the future. Come with me to see father, mother, and grandfather." Yi Tianzong held Ling Xinyue's lily-white hand and walked towards where Yi Haoran and the others were. Fortunately, Yi Tianzong had used his ultimate move early on to deal with the powerful demon race's attack. Then he joined the battle with an absolutely powerful attitude and strength. Therefore, the experts from the Hao Ranzhen sect, Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands did not suffer too much damage. Moreover, because the defensive formations on Haoran City and Tiangang Peak blocked the invasion of the demon race, the warriors below Wu Zun's realm did not suffer too much damage. On the contrary, because of the large-scale use of the fiery pearl and the exploding flame pearl, they killed a total of more than 40 million demons. Chapter 159. Yi Haoran, Su Mingxin, and the others were wearing the super armor given by Yi Tianzong. In the battle against the Devil Clan, they adopted the strategy of guerrilla warfare. Although they were chased by many Devil Clan experts, they were not in any danger. They just consumed a lot of energy. However, their achievements were also gratifying. Including Ling Xinyue, they eliminated more than 300 Saint-level Devil Clan experts in total, which was completely different from the others who were in a passive situation. Although it was night time, the necessary preparations still had to be made and the necessary orders still had to be issued. Today, the Devil Clan's carefully prepared surprise attack had failed. Because they did not understand the purpose of destroying the Hao Ranzhen sect, Yi Tianzong's strength was not enough, and more than half of the high-level combat forces were lost. Whether it was to preserve their strength or for other reasons, the Devil Clan would definitely give up on attacking the Hao Ranzhen sect. Therefore, the remaining members of the Devil Clan in the 2 strongholds would definitely speed up their retreat. Fortunately, Yi Tianzong had activated Haoran's morality to seal the passageways of the 2 strongholds. Although the seal could only last for 3 days and could not prevent the Devil Clan experts from tunneling to the surface from other places, it prevented the possibility of the Devil Clan appearing on a large scale on the surface in a short period of time. Because of this, there was no need to worry that the Devil Clan would retaliate and expand on a large scale because of their failure and cause a massacre in Haoran's territory. The seal of Haoran's Big Dipper formation could only last for 3 days. During these 3 days, the Hao Ranzhen sect had to make preparations. They had to gather forces to block the exits of the 2 underground lairs. There were still more than 500 million Devil Clan experts in the 2 underground lairs. No matter how fast they retreated, they could only evacuate the high-level Devil Clan experts. The rest of the low-level Devil Clan experts who could not evacuate would become the sacrificial lambs to delay the Hauranjian Sect's attack. Moreover, once the 3 days were up and the seal of the vast Heavenly Dipper formation disappeared, the hundreds of millions of Devil Race experts would definitely rush to the surface under the command of the Devil Race experts. Then they would spread out in all directions and madly slaughter all the living beings they could see, causing great trouble for the vast Heavenly Dipper sect. After all, the number of martial artists in Hauranjian sect was far less than that of the Devil Race. Although Yi Tianzong had the divine purification talisman and could wipe out all the demons as long as he entered the 2 underground demon lairs, Yi Tianzong couldn't do that. The current situation was different from before. If Yi Tianzong could not deal with the 3 demon envoys in today's battle, then due to the huge gap in numbers and strength, the Hauranjian sect would be in a precarious situation in the battle with the demon clan, and there would be the danger of their defeat. If he wanted to turn the situation around, he could only use the divine purification talisman. But today's battle was won. Yi Tianzong played the decisive and biggest role in the battle. Most of the demon experts were killed by Yi Tianzong, or fled out of fear of Yi Tianzong. Except for Ling Xinyue, Yihaoren, and the others, whether it was the experts of Hauranjian sect, Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, or the 10 Holy Lands who came to support, before Yi Tianzong entered the battle, they were basically besieged and beaten by the demon experts, several times their number. In fact, there were not many demon experts who were actually killed by them. This time, in order to deal with the conspiracy and surprise attack of the demon clan, Hauranjian sect used almost half of the sect's resources. All the disciples of Hauran and the people of Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands who came to support them were fully armed. As a result, the first wave of demon expert surprise attack failed because of Yi Tianzong's killing move. More than half of their experts were killed, and they had no choice but to retreat. Tens of millions of disciples of Hauran and the people of Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands who came to support them were basically hiding in the defensive formations of Tiangang Peak and Hauran City. The battle ended without much fighting. All kinds of elixirs, fiery beads, blowing flame beads, armors, and other materials that had been distributed were not used. If they were to ask for them back, Hauranjian sect could not afford to lose face. But these were all good things that the Hauranjian sect had accumulated for hundreds of years. It was absolutely impossible to give them away for free. It would be too much of a loss. Forget about the disciples of Hauranjian sect. The meat was in the pot. The disciples of Hauran could use 1/3 of their merit points to exchange for the materials that were distributed. This was considered as the sect taking care of their own disciples. But outsiders could not do the same. Hauranjian sect had originally come to support them because of the alliance agreement. It was not a problem even if they did not receive these materials. But in the end, they received so many benefits without doing anything. If they just let it go like this, not only would the entire Hauranjian sect be dissatisfied, but even their allies Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands would think that Hauranjian sect was a fool with a lot of money. Their impression and evaluation of Hauranjian sect would drop. In order to resolve this awkward situation, the only way was to let these people fight against the demon clan and use their merit points to exchange for the materials that Hauranjian sect spent on them. Therefore, the remaining hundreds of millions of demon clansmen were prepared for Hauran's disciples and the people of Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands. If they won and survived, these armors and elixirs would belong to them. If they lost, they would die. The Hauranjian sect would not take back these things that were left behind. They would directly give them to Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands as compensation for the families of those who died in battle. Yi Tianzong's thoughts coincided with Yi Haoran's. He also thought that this was the only solution at present. To give away so many materials at once, other than the weapons and elixirs, the Haoranjin sect had almost run out of armors, explosive flame pearls, and other materials. This was especially true for the standard defensive armors that Yi Tianzong had taken out. Even giving away one set would make his heart ache. To give away tens of thousands of sets, elixirs, explosive flame pearls, and other materials at once, Yi Haoran and the higher-ups of the Haoranjin sect were heartbroken. If the people from the Lingyun Palace, the Kunlun sect, and the 10 great sacred grounds obtained these items without doing anything, the higher-ups of the Noble Orthodox sect would have flipped the table. Although they wouldn't fall out with them, the next time the seal of heaven and earth was broken, they would definitely have nothing to do with it. Obviously, the decision of the Haoranjin sect was also good news for the people of Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands. As the people of Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands, many of the experts had existed since ancient times. It was not that they had never seen good things. There were definitely better things in their own sects, but those good things were very difficult to obtain. Moreover, there were very few of them, not to mention the standard defensive armors that they were wearing. Oh my God, the Haoranjin sect actually took out tens of thousands of them. There were so many of them, and the quality was good. They were flexible and light when worn. There might be such good things in their own sect's treasure troves, but they definitely did not have so many of them. Now they had obtained them so easily. There were also elixirs for healing injuries, restoring vital essence, and detoxifying elixirs. Good heavens, the Haoranjin sect was really rich. Compared to now, they were really poor in the past. However, they had come to support the battle against the devil race. In the end, they had obtained so many good things without doing anything. To be honest, they were panicking. However, no one was willing to hand over the benefits that they had obtained, especially the armor that they were wearing. This was a good, life-saving item. Who would be willing to take it off after wearing it? However, if they were to swallow all these good things in an ugly manner, it would be really shameful. It just so happened that the Haoranjin sect decided to use the military merits of the battle against the devil race to exchange for all kinds of goods. This way, everyone would be happy. After a night, the experts of Tiangang Peak and Haran City gathered again. Tens of millions of Haran disciples were also gathered and waiting in formation. After waiting for more than 10 million Haran disciples, Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the people of the 10 Holy Lands to gather, Yi Tianzong gave an order. The large army was divided into 2 groups, and each group headed for the stronghold of the devil race. Yi Tianzong, Ling Xinhua, and most of the experts of Marquis Wu realm and above set off first, flying toward the stronghold of the devil race that was 10,000 miles southwest of Tiangang Peak. The large army of more than 6 million below was also moving quickly toward the southwest. They could definitely reach the stronghold of the devil race that was 10,000 miles away in 3 days. The group heading for the other stronghold of the devil race was led by 7 people, including Yi Haoran and Yi Yuanshan. They led more than 1 million experts of Marquis Wu realm and above and more than 4 million troops to the stronghold of the devil race that was 5,000 miles east of Haran City. When Yi Tianzong, Yi Haoran, and the others led the large army toward the 2 strongholds of the devil race, there was still a steady stream of disciples of the Haran branch school in Haran City, as well as disciples returning from the devil-killing alliance. After reaching a certain scale, the higher-ups of the Haoranjin sect stationed there arranged for them to go and support the 2 groups. Chapter 160. Just as the 2 teams of Haoranjin sect rushed to the 2 underground demon lairs, just as Yi Tianzong and the higher-ups of Haoranjin sect expected, the surviving demon experts of Marquis Wu level and above were urgently retreating through the transmission channels in the underground lairs. The transmission channel was actually a more advanced, long-distance method than the transmission array. Take the 2 underground lairs of the Abyss Demon Clan in Haoranjin sect as an example. There were a total of 6 transmission channels. Each transmission channel could transport up to 1,000 people, and the distance of the transmission varied from 1 million to 10 million people. The interval between the opening of the channel was 5 minutes. It was more convenient and faster than the transmission array. However, compared to the transmission array, the transmission channel was more suitable to be built underground. No one would be willing to go through the tunnels all the time. Moreover, the resources and materials needed to build the smallest transmission channel were enough to build 10 medium-distance transmission arrays. This was also the reason why Yi Tianzong still used the transmission array in the Central Plains after he had seen and understood the principle of the transmission channel. Each time the 6 transmission channels were opened, they could transport 6,000 people. In total, there were more than 24 million demon experts of Marquis Wu level and above. If all of them retreated, the 6 transmission channels would be opened continuously for nearly half a month. Obviously, Yi Tianzong and the Haoranjin sect would not give the demons such a long time to retreat, and the demons themselves also knew that they did not have so much time. Of the more than 20 million demon experts, a large number of them were destined to be sacrificed to buy time. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. On the ground above the 2 underground demon lairs, the main forces of Haoranjin sect had arrived and made the necessary defensive preparations. They were only waiting for the seal of Haoran's Big Dipper formation to disappear, and then it would be the time for them to fight against the demons. As time passed, it was time for the seal to disappear. At this moment, all the powerhouses above the realm of Wushang of the Haoranjin sect were standing in the air above the passageway of the 2 strongholds of the Devil Clan. They were waiting with exploding flame beads in their hands. Haoran's Heavenly Dipper battle formation, which covered over 60 miles, turned into golden light and dissipated. At the same time, the seals of the 2 underground demon nests were lifted. After that, numerous low-level demons poured out of the ground crazily under the order of those demon powerhouses. In particular, the underground demon nest where Yi Tianzong and the others were located contained more than 500 million demons. Once such a large number of demons rushed to the surface and broke out of the blockade of Haoranjin sect, it would be an unbearable loss and trouble for the entire Haoranjin sect. Countless demons of the abyss rushed to the surface through the huge passageways, and then rushed towards the Haoranjin sect troops who had sealed off the surrounding area. The army of the righteous path, who had been waiting for a long time, showed no fear in the face of the ferocious devils. They cooperated with each other and held their weapons as they engaged in a life-and-death battle with the devils. There were 2 battlefields in total. On each battlefield, the troops of Haoranjin sect formed the Haoran sword formation and surrounded the passageways of the demon nests in 3 layers. On these 2 battlefields, Yi Tianzong and the powerhouses of Wu Zun and Wu Shang of the Haoranjin sect arranged a huge illusory formation outside the encirclement of the Haoranjin sect troops. Even if the demons broke through the encirclement set up by the Haoranjin sect, they could only be trapped in the illusory formation and couldn't get out. At that time, the powerhouses of Haoranjin sect would naturally deal with these demons. After tens of millions of demons of the abyss rushed out of the demon nests where Yi Tianzong was located, they completely engaged in close combat with the more than 6 million troops of Haoranjin sect troops here. In addition to the powerhouses of Wu Shang's level, even the powerhouses of Wu Zun's level had joined the battle against the demons. Although the demons that rushed out were all low-level demons equivalent to Wu Ling's level, there were too many of them. Although the powerhouses of Wu Zong, Marquis Wu, Wu King, and Wu Zun's level tried their best to kill them, especially the powerhouses of King Wu and Wu Zun's level, who directly killed a large number of demons with a single palm strike, the speed of killing was far slower than the speed of the demons rushing out of the ground. After 2 hours, more and more demons rushed out of the underground nests on the ground. There were already more than 12 million demons, and the pressure of the entire Haoranjin sect's encirclement became greater and greater. At this time, the powerhouses of Wu Shang's level also made their moves. Even the weakest powerhouses of the first heaven of Wu Shang's level directly turned all the demons within a radius of 3 miles into powder and nothingness with a single palm strike. At the same time, the experts of Hao Ranjin's sect threw explosive flame pearls into the huge tunnels and detonated them one by one. With the addition of the powerhouses of Wu Sheng's level and the huge damage of the explosive flame pearls to the demons, the speed of killing the demons had already surpassed the speed of replenishment. The number of demons on the ground was getting smaller and smaller, and was gradually reduced to a range of more than 1 million. While the powerhouses of Wu Sheng's level were making their moves, the people of Hao Ranjin's sect also took the opportunity to breathe a sigh of relief and seize the time to recover their physical strength and real essence. After 2 hours, the powerhouses of Wu Sheng's level no longer made their moves. The number of demons on the ground increased again, and they gradually started fighting with the 6 million warriors. Just like this, when the 6 million warriors showed signs of decline in the battle with the demons, the powerhouses of Wu Sheng's level would make their moves to exterminate the demons, giving the other warriors a chance to catch their breath. When the warriors of Wu Sheng's level had almost recovered, the powerhouses of Wu Sheng's level would no longer make their moves and let the warriors of lower level deal with the demons. They completely regarded these low-level demons as sparring partners and targets to gain battle merits. On the other side, the battlefield where Yi Haoran and the others was also the same. When the warriors of lower-level Wu Sheng's level could no longer cope with increasing number of demons, the powerhouses of Wu Sheng's level would make their moves to exterminate the demons, giving the other warriors time to rest and adjust. When the warriors of lower level had recovered for a while, the powerhouses of Wu Sheng's level would stop and let the other warriors continue to deal with the demons. The battle with the demons lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, and the warriors of Hao Ranjin's sect were all tensed up. Not only the warriors of lower level Wu Sheng's level were very tired, but even the powerhouses of Wu Sheng's level were a little tired. However, the result of the continuous high-intensity battle was also gratifying. On the battlefield where Yi Haoran and the others were, they had killed more than 60 million demons in 3 days and 3 nights. Originally, there were more than 80 million demons in this underground stronghold, but now there were less than 20 million demons left. As long as they could hold on for 1 more day, they could completely exterminate the demons in this stronghold. On the other side, Yi Tianzong and Ling Xinyue's battlefield, they had killed more than 100 million demons, which could be said to be a fruitful battle. Although these low-level demons had delayed them for 3 days, and many of them had escaped through the transmission channel, Yi Tianzong and the higher-ups of Hao Ranjin's sect didn't care about these demons' escape. The purpose of this trip was to let all the people who had received the supplies from Hao Ranjin's sect gain battle merits by killing demons and exchange them for armors, elixirs, and other resources. This was also to weaken the strength of the demons. Therefore, intercepting those demon powerhouses was not the main purpose. Moreover, after those demon powerhouses had escaped, the remaining low-level demons were completely lambs waiting to be slaughtered, which could also reduce the losses of Hao Ranjin's sect. Another day passed, and Hao Ranjin's sect and the demons were still fighting. However, on this day, no more demons appeared in the stronghold where Yi Haoran and the others were. Yi Tianzong, who had already received the news, directly entered the underground demon lair through the huge channel. Behind him, Ling Xinyu, Yi Haoran, and the others, as well as all the Wu Sheng level powerhouses, all went down into the underground lair. It was really big. This was everyone's first impression of this demon lair. For Wu Sheng level powerhouses, there was no difference between day and night, and there was no problem with night vision. The underground lair built by the demons was about 3 miles deep and more than 300 miles wide. Even Wu Sheng level powerhouses couldn't see the end of it. It had to be said that the demons in the abyss had spent more than 10 years preparing this plan to kill the Hao Ranjin sect. If it weren't for Yi Tianzong, an invincible powerhouse who had sensed the danger in advance, and the solid foundation and powerful strength of the Hao Ranjin sect, any other sect would have been completely destroyed. Even the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect, the 2 inheritances of the King of Gods, would have suffered heavy losses in the face of this plan, and their strength would be greatly reduced. Chapter 161. 2 updates today, 3 updates tomorrow. Please continue to support me. Thank you. With the help of his divine soul, Yi Tianzong directly came to a very hidden corner of this huge lair after entering it. Here, Yi Tianzong saw the destroyed transmission channel. Looking at the destroyed transmission channel, Yi Tianzong was not surprised at all. With a wave of his hand, Yi Tianzong collected some of the materials left behind when the transmission channel was destroyed. Once again, he struck a world-suppressing fist at the location of the transmission channel. Then he took out a sealing matrix disc and made a hand gesture to activate the sealing matrix disc, completely eliminating any possibility of the Devil Army returning to this place through the transmission channel. For such a huge underground cave, Yi Tianzong and the higher-ups of the Haoranjin sect had not figured out how to deal with it for the time being. Directly destroying it would be time-consuming and laborious, and it would be a pity. In the end, 3 Wu Zun and 3,000 Haoran disciples were left to guard the passage of this underground lair. Yi Tianzong and Yi Haoran led the other 4 million troops to the other battlefield. In order to arrive at the other battlefield as soon as possible, the Haoranjin sect directly deployed 30 short-distance transmission channels. Some of the warriors below the Marquis Wu realm were taken directly to the destination by the powerhouses at the level of King Wu, Wu Zun, and Wu Sheng, while the others were transported to the other battlefield by the transmission channel. The arrival of the other 4 million people made the 6 million people who had been fighting the Devil Army breathe a sigh of relief, relieving a lot of pressure. After the two sides gathered, a total of more than 10 million people were divided into 2 groups to fight the endless stream of Devil Army. This underground lair of the Devil Army was far bigger than the other one. There were more than 550 million Devil Army in total. The 10 million warriors of the Haoranjin sect would definitely be killed until their hands went limp. While the Haoranjin sect was fighting with the Devil race, the reinforcements from the Devil-Killing Alliance finally arrived. Although they came a little late, they finally showed up and participated in the extermination of the Devil race. As Yi Tianzong had expected, when the Abyss Demon race launched a surprise attack on the Haoranjin sect, the Demon race took the initiative to attack all the regions that the Demon Slayer Alliance was guarding. It seemed that a great war was about to break out. Moreover, the Demon Clan had also dug a lair 3 miles below the Heaven's Pride City, which was also the headquarters of the Demon Killing Alliance. However, this lair was less than 1 mile deep and had a radius of 10 miles. The Devil race had also set up a teleportation channel in this nest. However, the Devil race had only sent over 100,000 warriors who were equivalent to Wu King realm or above. When the various sub-alliances of the Demon Slayer Alliance were attacked by the Devil race, the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Alliance in the Heaven's Pride City was also attacked by the Devil race experts in this underground lair. The Demon Slayer Alliance, naturally, did not dare to be careless about the invasion of the Abyss Demon race. The various sub-alliances also mobilized most of their forces to fight the Abyss Demon race for the first time in more than 10 years. However, after seeing the strength of the Demon Slayer Alliance, the Abyss Demon race quickly retreated after a short battle. However, after the Demon Slayer Alliance's forces retreated, the Devil race launched another attack on the territory of the Demon Slayer Alliance. Therefore, the various sub-alliances of the Demon Slayer Alliance had to fight the Devil race again. However, after a while, the Devil race retreated again. In this way, as long as the Demon Slayer Alliance attacked, the Devil race would retreat. Once the Demon Slayer Alliance's forces retreated, the Devil race would launch another attack. Similarly, the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Alliance in the Heaven's Pride City was also attacked by more than 100,000 Devil race experts. The situation was the same as the other sub-alliances of the Demon Slayer Alliance. As long as the experts of the headquarters appeared to fight, the Devil race experts would retreat. Once the experts of the headquarters returned to the Heaven's Pride City, the Devil race experts would attack again. As long as one was not confused, one would know that the Devil Race was delaying the strength of the Demon Slayer Alliance and preventing them from supporting the Haurangian sect. Although they knew the sinister intentions of the Devil Race, they did not know how strong the Devil Race had become over the years. They did not know how many Devil Race experts the Haurangian sect was facing. They also did not know how many Devil Race experts the Haurangian sect had to face. They also did not know how many Devil Race experts the Haurangian sect had to face this time. They did not know whether the Devil Race was deliberately using this method to make the Demon Slayer Alliance relax their vigilance and launch a large-scale attack on them, or just wanted to prevent them from supporting the Haurangian sect. The Demon Slayer Alliance, who did not know the situation, could only take conservative measures and passively deal with the Devil Race. The forces that were originally gathering to support the Haurangian sect were also put on hold because of the Devil Race's sudden attack. This sullen situation made the higher-ups of the Demon Slayer Alliance so angry that they scolded the Devil Race for being despicable and shameless. Although they knew it was useless, they felt uncomfortable if they did not scold the Devil Race. Just when the Demon Slayer Alliance thought that this stalemate with the Devil Race would continue, the Devil Race suddenly gave up the confrontation with the Demon Slayer Alliance 3 days later. They returned to their own territories and did not come out again. Even the Devil Race that had been harassing Tianjia City disappeared without a trace and did not appear again. The hearts of the elders of the Demon Slayer Alliance, who did not know about the victory of the Haurangian sect on the battlefield, all sank, and a bad feeling welled up in their hearts. Why did the Devil Race retreat so angrily? Could it be that they had already achieved their goal and the Haurangian sect had been destroyed by them? Were they afraid of the Demon Slayer Alliance's crazy revenge, so they went into hiding? It was no wonder that they guessed like this. Just yesterday, they had planned to capture a Devil Race master at the level of Wushang, cripple his strength, break his limbs, and lock him up. Perhaps he knew that he could not escape death, but he did not want the people of the Demon Slayer Alliance to feel better. So the captured Devil Race master directly told them about the Devil Race's lineup to attack the Haurangian sect. There were a total of 600 million Devil Race masters, and tens of millions of them were equivalent to the human Marquis Wu. There were more than 100,000 Devil Race masters at the level of Wushang. They had been planning for more than 10 years to build 2 strongholds, very close to the Haurangian sect. With such a huge lineup, it could be said that it was a sure-kill plan, not to mention the fate of the Haurangian sect. In any case, the higher-ups of the Demon Slayer Alliance, who knew about the Devil Race's plan, felt a chill in their hearts. Although the Haurangian sect was powerful, and Yi Tianzong's strength was even more unimaginable in the face of such a huge lineup, and it was said that there were masters who could rival Yi Tianzong could not take care of them, and the power of the Haurangian sect alone was definitely not enough to deal with the Devil Race's conspiracy. These days, there was no news about the Haurangian sect. The higher-ups of the Demon Slayer Alliance were all unwilling to believe that the Haurangian sect was finished. Although they did not want to believe it, the Demon Slayer Alliance still sent millions of people to the Haurangian sect through the transmission formation. No matter what the fate of the Haurangian sect was, they had to know the result. However, the news that they later learned was completely different from what they had expected. It was worlds apart. Not only was the Haurangian sect not finished, but they had also defeated the surprise attack of the Devil Race's huge lineup. Now, they were carrying out the final elimination of the Devil Race. When the higher-ups of the Demon Slayer Alliance heard this news, they did not believe it at all. They thought that the person who delivered the news was fooling them. They really did not believe that the powerful lineup of the Devil Race had been defeated by the Haurangian sect in just a few days. What kind of joke was this? Was the Haurangian sect really that powerful? Even if they had the support of the Lingyun Hall, the Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands, what could they do? How much power could they send in just a few days? There were 600 million Devil Race members, more than 100,000 Saint-level Devil Race members. How could they be finished so easily? The higher-ups of the Demon Slayer Alliance, who did not believe it took the transmission formation to arrive at the Haran city of the Haurangian sect. Then, they went to the battlefield where the low-level devil race members were being eliminated. After inquiring about the details of the battle with the devil race, the higher-ups of the Demon Slayer Alliance gradually accepted the fact that the Haurangian sect had won. They enviously looked at the armors worn by the saint-level devil race experts who were eliminating the devil race. At the same time, they also received a huge blow. They did not expect the strength of the Haurangian sect to be so powerful. They really could not understand how the Haurangian sect, which had only been established for a few thousand years, could develop so quickly. It was simply not in line with their understanding. They also did not expect Yi Tianzong to be so powerful that he could casually kill a 6th Heaven Saint level devil race expert. It seemed that they would continue to be suppressed by the Haurangian sect in the future. The higher-ups of the Demon Slayer Alliance, who had originally guessed that the Haurangian sect was done for, once again suppressed these thoughts. At the same time, millions of people arrived one after another and joined in the extermination of the devil race. After 10 days of continuous fighting, more than 550 million devil race members were finally exterminated. Chapter 162. After completely annihilating all the demons in Haurangian sect's territory, the people of the Demon Killing Alliance, Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands retreated one after another. The remaining matters were left to Haurangian sect to deal with. As for the 2 huge underground lairs that the demons had created in Haran, after Yi Tianzong confirmed that the demons would not appear again, the higher-ups of Haurangian sect directly used them as 2 underground warehouses to store some of the Haurangian sect's resources. After this battle, not only did the Haurangian sect successfully resist the demons' meticulously planned surprise attack, but it also once again demonstrated the strength of the Haurangian sect to the outside world. This deterred the Holy Lands and the various superpowers that had been somewhat inflated due to the expansion of the world and the emergence of the sect's resources. Once again, the Haurangian sect was recognized as the overlord of the Central Plains. Its position in the Demon Killing Alliance was as stable as Mount Tai. Together with Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands, it had always been the leader of the Demon Killing Alliance. After this battle, the Haurangian sect resumed its usual development path. It continued to steadily develop its strength and accumulated all kinds of medicinal pills, explosive flame beads, formation discs, battle armors, and other resources for cultivation and war preparation to enrich the sect's resources. Because of this surprise attack by the demons, more than 70% of the various resources that the Haurangian sect had accumulated over the past several hundred years were used up. In order to ensure that they would not run out of armors and medicinal pills if they encountered similar situations in the future, the hundreds of thousands of people in the Haurangian sect's 100 Herb Hall, Formation Tools Hall, and Spiritual Plants Hall once again began to unceasingly stock up. The people of Lingyun Hall, Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands who had persisted to the end naturally couldn't help but show off their achievements and gains after wearing armors and returning to their respective factions. After experiencing the super defensive armors, the other people who didn't go to support the Haurangian sect immediately felt envious and regretful. Why didn't they go to support the Haurangian sect? As long as they went, they would be able to obtain a set of life-saving armors and various medicinal pills. As for the dangers, wearing such armors as long as they didn't seek death and provoke experts who were far stronger than them, what great danger would there be? After exterminating hundreds of millions of demons, the experts who went to support the Haurangian sect only lost less than 1/10 of their forces, and the experts who died were all weak. The experts above Wu Zun realm were all full of vigor. At most, they were a little exhausted, but nothing else was a farce. They missed such a good opportunity, just like that. Not to mention the others, even the Lingyun Hall Master, Kunlun Sect Master, and the 10 Holy Land Sacred Lords couldn't help but be envious after personally experiencing the armors worn by the Wu Zun realm experts. Wearing the armors, even if they were attacked by Wu Zun realm 6 experts, they wouldn't be injured at all. They would only suffer some recoil. It was definitely a life-saving weapon. In the future battles with the demons, as long as they wore this set of armors, they would be able to go on a rampage and there would be almost no danger to their lives. Who wouldn't want it? It was a pity that they didn't go to the Hao Ranjin sect in the past, although their own faction's treasury also had similar armors. If they wanted to obtain them, they had to exchange for them with contribution points. Compared to this kind of opportunity where they could obtain them just by going to the Hao Ranjin sect, it was much more troublesome to exchange for them in the sect's treasury. Time passed quickly. Year after year passed. In the Central Plains, the Demon-Killing Alliance and the Demon Race had once again returned to the previous state of having a small battle every half a year and a big battle every year. The two sides had always been in a deadlock. Before the expansion of the world, the Demon-Killing Alliance was in an advantageous position in the war due to various reasons. However, after the expansion of the world, not only did the major factions of the human race and the demon race in the Central Plains have their own hidden forces awakened, but the demon race in the abyss also had their own hidden forces awaken. In the ancient times, the demon race in the abyss was able to suppress the alliance of the human race and the demon race for a long time. It couldn't be said that their strength was stronger than the overall strength of the human race and the demon race. After all, the human race and the demon race were on guard against each other, and each race was also scheming against each other. They couldn't display their full strength, but it was inevitable that they were stronger than either race. After a long period of hibernation, not only did many factions and hidden forces of the human race and the demon race disappear in the history of the world, but many experts of the demon race in the abyss also died. However, until now, the strength of the demon race was still stronger than that of the human race and the demon race. With the awakening of these sleeping experts of the demon race, the overall strength of the demon race had once again increased by leaps and bounds. They were definitely much stronger than the Demon-Killing Alliance. If the demon race in the abyss directly started a war with the Demon-Killing Alliance, then the demon race would definitely have the upper hand. However, the demon race in the abyss had spent more than 10 years on a plan to kill the Hao Ranjin sect, which was a major threat to them, but it had failed. They had lost a large number of Wu Shangs and Wu Zun's battle strength. The high-end battle strength of both sides was almost equal. As a result, the demon race in the abyss was in a deadlock with the Demon-Killing Alliance and entered into a process of mutual consumption. Time moved forward unswervingly. The war with the demon race became the main matter of all the factions in the Central Plains. Every year, there would be countless casualties because of the war with the demon race. In the protracted war with the demon race, 100 years had passed in a hurry. In the past 100 years, the world had undergone great changes. The biggest change was that the world had once again expanded by dozens of times. It was incomparably vast. The territory of the Central Plains alone had expanded to a vast extent of billions of miles. The upper limit of the power of the world had also been raised to the peak of Wu Shang's ninth heaven, which was also the peak below the myth realm. In the past 100 years, the strength of the Hao Ranjin sect had reached a bottleneck. Feeling that the time was ripe, Yi Tianzong once again led the experts of the Hao Ranjin sect, as well as the people of the Lingyun Hall, the Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands to break the seal of heaven and earth for the 6th time. In the past, when the Hao Ranjin sect was facing a crisis of the demon race, the Lingyun Hall, the Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Lands had readily supported them. Therefore, the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect had been given 5,000 places to break the seal of heaven and earth for the 6th time, and the 10 Holy Lands had been given 4,000 places to break the seal of heaven and earth. After 3 days and 3 nights of arduous fighting, Yi Tianzong finally killed the black humanoid creature formed by the sealing chains, and the seal of heaven and earth was successfully broken. After 3 months of expansion, all the people who had participated in breaking the seal of heaven and earth had received boundless and pure energy from the world. Now, Yi Tianzong's realm had been raised to the peak of Wu Sheng's ninth heaven. There was no way for him to advance any further. He could only cultivate the power of his body and mind every day. In the 10 years after breaking the seal of heaven and earth, Ling Xinhua had also broken through to the early stage of Wu Sheng's ninth heaven. Yi Haoren, Yi Yuanshan, and the others had reached the middle stage of Wu Sheng's eighth heaven. This was already very fast. In Wu Sheng's ninth heaven, each level was like ascending to the heavens. Every breakthrough in Wu Sheng's realm required a lot of time and resources. One also had to comprehend the profound meaning of heaven and earth to reach the limit of the breakthrough. Yi Haoren and the others, as well as Ling Xinhua, were able to break through so quickly. In addition to Yi Tianzong's guidance and the support of medicinal pills, their own extraordinary aptitude and comprehension ability were also very important. And their extraordinary aptitude and comprehension ability came from their powerful physiques and foundation. Now Ling Xinhua, Yi Haoren, Yi Yuanshan, Su Mingxin, and the others' clear ice Xian body, true martial Xian body, and clear spirit Xian body had all been promoted to the peak of the profound Xian body. One more step and it would be the divine Xian body. Aside from being born with a god-class constitution, one could only obtain it after reaching the god myth level. The peak of the profound Xian body allowed Yi Haoren, Ling Xinhua, and the others to have a stronger origin potential and aptitude. It also increased their comprehension ability significantly, making it easier for them to comprehend the profound meaning of heaven and earth. In the entire Central Plains, it could be said that there was almost no one who could compare with Yi Haoren, Ling Xinhua, and the others in terms of comprehension ability and aptitude. After the heaven and earth feedback, the highest realm that the master of Ling Yunhal, the master of Kunlun sect, Great Mystery sect, Ethereal sect, and the other holy masters of the 10 holy lands had only reached the middle stage of Wu Sheng's 7th heaven. It was impossible for them to catch up with Yi Haoren and the others. Chapter 163. In the 10 years since the heaven and earth seal was broken, the number of Wu Sheng level experts in the Hao Ranjin sect had reached 50,000. There were more than 7,000 Wu Sheng level experts above the 3rd heaven, but there were less than 600 Wu Sheng level experts above the 6th heaven. Even so, the foundation and strength of the martial saint level experts above the 3rd heaven in the Hao Ranjin sect still exceeded that of most of the holy lands, including the super battle prowess of Yi Haoren, Yi Yuanshan, and the others. The Hao Ranjin sect was second only to the Ling Yunhal and the Kunlun sect. What interested the Hao Ranjin sect the most was that the demon clan in the Haoran mountain range had learned their lesson. They no longer stubbornly took the initiative to start a war with the Hao Ranjin sect. Instead, they obediently developed their strength in the other half of the Haoran mountain range. It seemed like they had given up on taking back the entire Haoran mountain range. With a mischievous mood, Yi Tianzong really went to the demon clan's territory and asked why the demon clan didn't continue to fight with the Hao Ranjin sect. At that time, the higher-ups of the demon clan were so angry that they wanted to fight with their lives, but they didn't dare to say anything. Yi Tianzong felt that it was funny when he thought about it. In addition, in the past 100 years, the prodigy competition that was held once every 10 years was also held as scheduled. In every prodigy competition, the Hao Ranjin sect would only send 1,000 outstanding disciples to participate in it. However, among these 1,000 disciples from the Hao Ranjin sect, at least 25 of them would enter the top 100 of the strongest prodigies in the Central Plains in every prodigy competition. In every prodigy competition, at least 3 of them would enter the top 10, other than the 2 times when the Kunlun sect and the Ling Yunhal won the championship. The remaining 8 prodigy competitions were all won by the disciples of the Hao Ranjin sect. Moreover, the remaining disciples were all within the top 2,000, except for those who were unlucky and were eliminated prematurely. This also led to the Hao Ranjin sect obtaining the best results in every Tianjiao competition. Their position in the demon-killing alliance had never changed, and they held a considerable amount of power. At the same time, because of their results in every Tianjiao competition, the Haoranjin sect was like the sun in the sky in the entire Central Plains. It attracted countless geniuses who wanted to enter the Haoranjin sect. It was the continuous influx of these talented disciples that allowed the Haoranjin sect to maintain its rapid development. In the past 100 years, the Haoranjin sect had maintained its transcendent status as the overlord of the Central Plains. In terms of the cultivation and accumulation of talented disciples, the Haoranjin sect had far surpassed any other force in the Central Plains. Even God King forces like the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect did not have as many outstanding disciples as the Haoranjin sect. Ever since the demon race's surprise attack on the Haoranjin sect 100 years ago, the battle between the demon-killing alliance and the demon race had gone through several twists and turns. Before Yi Tianzong and the others broke the seal of heaven and earth for the 6th time, in the first 10 years, the demon-killing alliance and the demon race had always been on par with each other. The demon race, who had always wanted to conquer the Central Plains, was naturally unwilling to let this stalemate continue. Therefore, the demon race later adopted the same strategy as when they planned to attack the Haoranjin sect. They built strongholds underground in the territories of other holy lands and superforces. After accumulating enough strength, they launched surprise attacks on these holy lands and superforces. Facts proved that not every force had the luck and strength of the Haoranjin sect. Faced with the demon race's old tricks, the holy lands and superforces that were unprepared were defeated before the demon-killing alliance's reinforcements arrived. The demon race used this strategy to amass powerful forces to launch surprise attacks on the human race and the demon race. In the past 10 years, the demon race had achieved great results. More than 6 holy lands and 30 superforces were completely destroyed by the demon race. The demon race had also found the secret realms of these destroyed holy lands and superforces and sealed them up. Moreover, the demon race had sent members of the demon race to control the experts of the human race and the demon race in those secret realms. Not only that, but because of this strategy of the demon race, after those holy lands and superforces were destroyed, the nearby suballiances of the demon-killing alliance lost the support of these holy lands and superforces. 2 suballiances of the demon-killing alliance were destroyed by the demon race. The demon race in the abyss also took the opportunity to occupy a huge area with a radius of tens of millions of miles. At the same time, many new strongholds of the demon race appeared one after another in other places of the Central Plains. The demon race's strategy of launching surprise attacks from underground made it impossible for the human race and the demon race in the Central Plains to guard against. They couldn't find any effective defensive measures and could only strengthen their vigilance and defense. Fortunately, there were many restrictions to this method of the demon race. Not only did it take a long time, but it also required the demon race to send experts to infiltrate the territories of the various forces. Only after a large space deep enough underground could they set up transmission channels to transport the demon race's power. After all, the various forces were not to be trifled with. They had fought against the demon race for more than 100,000 years in the antiquity times. They had accumulated a lot of experience in dealing with the demon race. They had their own methods of distinguishing and defending against the demon race. Those experts of the demon race couldn't easily enter the territories ruled by these holy lands and superforces. While all the forces strengthened their vigilance and defense, the demon-killing alliance also sold the demon appraising compass invented by Yi Tianzong to all the warriors of the Central Plains at a low price. At the same time, the demon-killing alliance issued a mission to search for traces of the demon race in the warriors for hire guild all over the Central Plains. Anyone who discovered traces of the demon race in the Central Plains would be richly rewarded. After taking these precautions, the demon-killing alliance launched a revenge attack against the demon race. Since the demon race could gather such a powerful force to launch a surprise attack against us, we would also do the same. After selecting some strongholds of the demon race, the demon-killing alliance gathered an overwhelming force and asked Yi Tianzong to take action. They directly destroyed 4 important strongholds of the demon race, annihilating more than 100 million demon race members and more than 20,000 saint-level demon race members. They also achieved great results. In the following decades, the demon-killing alliance and the demon race began to hurt each other. If the demon-killing alliance dared to launch a surprise attack against a force of the human race and the demon race, the demon-killing alliance would concentrate its forces to destroy one of the demon race's strongholds. Wasn't it just hurting each other? Who was afraid of who? This process of hurting each other lasted for more than 30 years before it gradually subsided. The main reason was that the defenses and vigilance of the human race and the demon race were getting tighter and tighter. In addition, the large number of rogue cultivators in the Central Plains were helping to search for traces of the demon race. This strategy of launching a surprise attack from underground was getting more and more difficult to implement. After the demon race gave up on the strategy of continuing to launch surprise attacks, the demon-killing alliance and the demon race in the abyss returned to the previous situation of exhausting each other, until Yi Tianzong broke the seal of heaven and earth again. The demon-killing alliance and the demon race in the abyss were in a stalemate. They had a small battle every half a year and a big battle every year. 10 years had passed since Yi Tianzong broke the seal of heaven and earth. In these 10 years, the demon-killing alliance and the demon race in the abyss went through a period of truce, just like the last time when the seal of heaven and earth was broken. No battle took place. This situation made the major forces of the Central Plains vigilant again. They used most of their forces to carefully investigate the situation in the territory under their rule. After all, with the example of the Hao Ranjin sect, the world expanded again. The major forces' control and monitoring of the Central Plains decreased a lot. After the expansion of the Central Plains, many places were almost uninhabited. Who knew if the demon race in the abyss would take advantage of this time to hoard a large number of demon race in the territory of some force and prepare to launch a surprise attack? Yi Tianzong, who was on the Tiangang Peak of the Hao Ranjin sect, didn't pay much attention to the outside world. Yi Tianzong had also investigated the demon race's actions in the past few years. He had also investigated the situation in the 5 million miles radius around the Tiangang Peak. However, he didn't find any trace of the demon race. After his cultivation broke through to the 9th heaven of Wushang, Yi Tianzong could use his divine soul to investigate the situation in the 10,000 miles radius and 3 miles underground area. If he concentrated his power, he could investigate the situation in the 10,000 miles radius and 5 miles underground area. Chapter 164. Sorry, the third watch was posted a little late. It was mainly because there was a last-minute matter to deal with, so it took some time. Since there were no traces of the Devil Clan, Yi Tianzong, Yi Haoren, and the higher-ups of the Hao Ranjin sect did not have to be vigilant at all times, as if they were facing a great enemy. They still followed the usual practice of building cities and migrating people throughout the territory. Most of their remaining energy was spent on developing the strength of the sect, taking advantage of the peaceful time to increase the strength of the sect to the greatest extent. Now, Yi Tianzong's energy was used to cultivate and guide his family, and the rest of his time was spent on teaching the most outstanding disciples selected from the sect. Perhaps it was because the world was constantly recovering and strengthening. Various kinds of martial arts cultivation geniuses with outstanding aptitudes were emerging one after another, until the 6th time the seal of heaven and earth was broken. Every year when the Hao Ranjin sect recruited disciples, they would find dozens of talented disciples with special constitutions and outstanding aptitudes. Over the years, when Yi Tianzong's mind wandered around the world in the sect, he did find some good seedlings with outstanding aptitude that had not been discovered yet. Yi Tianzong found a total of 10 young disciples whose aptitudes and potential far exceeded that of ordinary geniuses. These 10 disciples had not been discovered, not because they were deliberately targeted, but because their aptitudes and talents had not been activated. There was not much difference between them and ordinary warriors, and even they themselves did not know what kind of talents they had. However, this could not be hidden from Yi Tianzong's soul. These 10 disciples were all born with a special constitution at the high level of the profound level, which was definitely 1 in a billion people. However, activating their respective constitutions required a specific method and a huge amount of energy, which was naturally a piece of cake for Yi Tianzong. There was no difficulty at all. Yi Tianzong directly brought them along with the selected outstanding disciples to receive guidance in martial arts cultivation. At the same time, he also activated their respective innate constitutions. After completely activating their respective constitutions, these 10 disciples showed cultivation speed and comprehension that far exceeded that of ordinary geniuses, which made all the higher-ups of the Hao Ranjin sect very happy. In fact, it was not just the Hao Ranjin sect. All the major forces in the Central Plains, whether it was the human clan or the demon clan, had discovered more and more outstanding juniors and disciples in the past few decades. Their overall strength was developing rapidly, just as the entire Central Plains was developing peacefully in the boundless ocean several billion li away. Due to the world's recovery and expansion, the ocean creatures in the boundless ocean also began to evolve and gain intelligence. The boundless sea was 5 times larger than the Central Plains, the western regions, the northern borderline, and the southern wilderness combined. Because it was a sea, even during the mythological era, humans and demons rarely set foot in it. It had always been the domain of the sea race. In the boundless ocean, there were countless races of all sizes. The sea race was just a general term for all the races in the boundless ocean. In this boundless sea, about 300 million miles away from the Central Plains, there was a huge island that spanned tens of millions of miles. It was like a small piece of land lying across the boundless sea. Around this gigantic island, there were countless other islands of various sizes, spread out over hundreds of millions of miles in the ocean. On the largest island in the center, the vitality of the world was so dense that it formed a thin mist. All kinds of exotic flowers and herbs that had never been seen on the land appeared in a special pattern, embellishing the island with mystery and nobility. In the center of the gigantic island, within a radius of 1,000,000 miles, the vitality of the world was so dense that it filled the air like rain. At this moment, on top of a divine mountain in the center of the gigantic island, a middle-aged man with a dignified face and a noble aura was talking to a handsome young man with a fierce and arrogant expression. He said in a serious tone, "Chin, now that the world has recovered, there is hope for it to return to the mythological era. As the divine child of our sect, your purpose in coming to the Central Plains is to let the Central Plains know of the name of our Penglai sect. At the same time, you can also measure the strength of the Lingyun Hall, the Kunlun sect, and the Hao Ranjin sect." The young man called Chen said, "Don't worry, Father. I know what to do. However, in my opinion, apart from the God King faction that had been passed down along with us, the other sacred grounds are all useless. At the peak of the mythological era, there were a total of 14 God King champions. Our founding master, the Penglai God King, was one of the top 3 and founded our Penglai sect in the boundless seas. Our Penglai sect sits on the vast seas and was not affected by the abyssal demons in ancient times. Since the mythological era, we have not encountered any major problems, preserving our strength and foundation well. On the other hand, the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect must have lost much of their strength and talents because of the abyssal demons. This time, we will definitely make the name of our Penglai sect known. Also, is that so-called young master of the Hao Ranjin sect really as invincible as the rumors say in the Central Plains? Yes, Chinner has a point. With your strength and the Penglai sect's present strength, only the Lingyun Palace and the Kunlun sect which are both God King's legacies, would be worthy of our attention. Those other sacred grounds and whatnot are no more than clay chickens and pottery dogs. Still, don't let your guard down because of that. The human heart is sinister, and there are times when you don't need a direct confrontation to win. All right, you can go now. The middle-aged man nodded after hearing the young man's words. After giving him some instructions, he let the young man lead 500 experts, who were at least at the 7th heavenly layer of the Martial Saint realm, to the central plains through the teleportation formation. Far away in the central plains, Yi Tianzong, who was at the Lingyun Hall, the Kunlun sect, and the Haoranjin sect, naturally did not know that the Penglai sect's godchild from the boundless seas was about to arrive with 500 superb champions who were at least at the 7th heaven of Wushang, intending to measure their strength. Even if he did know, that was something to be considered in the future. Now, both the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect were in big trouble as they were attacked by the abyssal demons. That's right. In the 10 years since the seal of heaven and earth was broken, the abyssal demons, who had not taken any action, once again used the previous surprise attack strategy. However, this time their target was the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect instead of the Haoranjin sect. The last time they attacked the Haoranjin sect, they had underestimated Yi Tianzong's strength as well as the Haoranjin sect's defense and foundation, which led to a great loss. Therefore, in order to be foolproof, the abyssal demons changed their target to the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect this time. The abyssal demons were quite familiar with the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect. In the hundreds of thousands of years since the ancient times, the abyssal demons had fought with the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect countless times. They also knew that the current strength of the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect was at most 30% of what it was in the ancient times. With the current strength and status of the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect in the Central Plains, as long as these two forces were severely damaged, the next step would be to focus on dealing with the Haoranjin sect. On this day, the Lingyun Hall master and many experts of the Lingyun Hall suddenly felt uneasy. After knowing each other's feelings, all the higher-ups of the Lingyun Hall immediately felt that something was wrong. Therefore, they hurriedly issued all kinds of orders to mobilize all the disciples and experts of the Lingyun Hall to prepare for battle and to activate the protective mountain array. At the same time, the Kunlun sect, which was hundreds of millions of miles away, also made the same arrangements. The Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect simultaneously asked for help from the Haoranjin sect and the 10 Great Holy Lands. Chapter 165. I'm sorry that I posted it a little late. I don't know why, but after drinking a bottle of Harmony Qizhan, herbal tea after dinner today, I've been having diarrhea. Every time I sit down, I have to go to the toilet in less than 20 minutes. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm still writing the second chapter and will probably post it around 11:30 p.m. I'm sorry. After requesting help from the Haoranjin sect and the 10 Great Holy Lands, the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect immediately requested help from the Demon Killing Alliance. However, they didn't have much hope. After receiving the request for help from the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect, the Haoranjin sect and the 10 Great Holy Lands didn't delay. They immediately began to mobilize and gather their forces to support the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect through the transmission formation. In addition to the forces that needed to be guarded in their respective headquarters, the first to rush to the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect were the Haoranjin sect and the masters at the level of Wushang and Wuzun from the 10 Great Holy Lands. Taishan, Zhenyan, Tianshui, Piaomiao, Tianjian, Xianluo, Luyun, Wuji, Gulan, and Xiaoyao. Before breaking the seal of heaven and earth for the 6th time, the Haoranjin sect, the Lingyun Hall, and the 10 Great Holy Lands had already set up 3 long-distance, large-scale transmission formations between them. In the previous classification of transmission formations by Yi Tianzong, the long-distance, large-scale transmission formation had a transmission range of 30 million to 100 million miles. After studying the transmission channel of the Abyss Devil Clan and improving it, The current long-distance, large-scale transmission formation had a transmission range of 30 million to 300 million miles. At most, it could transmit 3,000 people at a time. With the large-scale transmission formation, the masters at the level of Wushang and Wuzun from the Haoranjin sect and the 10 Great Holy Lands quickly rushed to the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect to support them. In order to avoid the appearance of the so-called demon envoy like last time, Yi Tianzong, who had just finished his closed-door training, first went to the Lingyun Hall, which was relatively close to him. From the time Haoranjin sect received the request for help from Lingyun Hall, to the arrival of Wushang from Haoranjin sect, and finally to the arrival of Yi Tianzong, less than 6 hours had passed. However, at this time, Lingyun Hall had already been attacked by the Devil Clan. This time, the demons that attacked Lingyun Hall were much stronger than the ones that attacked Haoranjin sect. There are more than 3,000 Devil Clan masters who are at least at the 7th heaven of Wushang, which was twice as many as the 1,000 Wushang's 7th heaven of Lingyun Hall. There are more than 200,000 Devil Clan masters who are at the Martial Saint level, and more than 5 million Wuzun level Devil Clan masters. Although Lingyun Hall had already activated the mountain protecting formation, it was still on the verge of collapse under the attack of hundreds of thousands or millions of Devil Clan masters at the Martial Saint level and Devil Clan masters at the Venerable level. When Yi Tianzong arrived through the transmission formation, he directly appeared in Lingyun City, which was outside the Lingyun Peak. He scanned the area with his divine soul and immediately noticed the battlefield on Lingyun Peak in the distance. At this time, there were countless Devil Clan masters who were constantly attacking the Lingyun sky-filling formation on Lingyun Peak. The Lingyun sky-filling formation was a set of super formations that combined defense, illusion, and entrapment, which were specially set up by Lingyun God King in the mythological era after he founded Lingyun Hall. Its main function was defense. However, with the decline of heaven and earth, the complete Lingyun sky-filling formation had been damaged over a long period of time. Although heaven and earth had begun to recover, and Lingyun Hall had not stopped repairing the Lingyun sky-filling formation, it was still damaged. This was different from the Haoran-Wuji formation on Haoranjin sect's Tiangang Peak. The Haoran-Wuji formation had been set up by Yi Tianzong before he broke the seal of heaven and earth for the first time. It was a composite formation that combined defense, illusion, entrapment, and attack. It was complete from the beginning. Later on, as the heaven and earth continued to recover, the vast and infinite great array also expanded due to the heaven and earth. Under the heaven and earth's good fortune, it continued to improve, becoming more and more mysterious and powerful. Now it was a super array that could attack and defend as one, and was no longer a compound array. Moreover, the Haoran-Wuji formation was the Haoranjin sect's mountain protecting formation. Because everyone in the Haoranjin sect practiced the Haoran righteous path, they naturally had the vast and masculine nature of the Haoran righteous energy. Therefore, it had a restraining effect on the Abyss Devil Clan. Unlike the Lingyun sky-filling formation, which only had a defensive function now, it was in imminent danger under the all-out attack of the Devil Clan and could be broken through at any time. Yi Tianzong did not pay attention to those ordinary Devil Clan experts. What attracted Yi Tianzong's attention was that among all the devils attacking the Lingyun sky-filling formation, there were 2 blue-violet devils in the center. They had almost the same aura as the 3 devil envoys that Yi Tianzong had encountered more than 100 years ago. Under the scan of Yi Tianzong's spirit, the 2 blue-violet devils were also in the 9th heaven of Wushang. Their attacks and strength were far beyond ordinary Devil Clan experts of the same level. After discovering these 2 blue-violet devils, Yi Tianzong's heart trembled. He had guessed correctly. It seemed that the Devil Clan was really determined to attack the Lingyun Hall this time. Since the Lingyun Hall was like this, the situation of the Kunlun sect would not be much better. But since the Devil Clan had a super expert like the Devil Envoys as their trump card, then in ancient times, how did the human clan and the demon clan resist? Or did they not encounter such a situation in ancient times? Little did they know that Yi Tianzong had guessed correctly. In ancient times, whether it was the human clan or the demon clan, they had never encountered such a blue-violet devil envoys. The reason why these blue-violet devil envoys could appear was because Yi Tianzong and the people of the Haoranjin sect had broken the seal of heaven and earth, causing the seal of heaven and earth to be damaged. The existences suppressed in the depths of the world began to recover their strength. After paying a certain price, they could attach their blood to the devil clan through the broken seal of heaven and earth, transforming them into devil envoys. If the seal of heaven and earth was still intact, the existences suppressed would not even have enough strength to protect themselves. How could they waste their strength to create devil envoys? Not only did Yi Tianzong notice these two blue-violet devil envoys, even the people of the Lingyun Hall, the Haoranjin sect, and the 10 great holy lands who had come to support them also noticed these two devil envoys that were different from the rest. They could feel the monstrous devil flame aura from the two devil envoys even through the formation. Even the supermasters of the Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven in the Lingyun Hall felt their scalps tingle, just when they did not know the identity of these two blue-violet devils that they had never heard of before. Yi Haoyun, the leader of the Haoranjin sect, said the two words devil envoys with an ugly expression. The masters of the Lingyun Hall and the 10 great holy lands, especially the master of the Lingyun Hall, asked in a somewhat urgent tone, "Does Lord Yi know the identity of these two devil envoys?" At this time, not only the master of the Lingyun Hall, but all the masters of the Wu Sheng 7th Heaven and above present were looking at Yi Haoyun. Yi Haoyun still nodded with an ugly expression and said, "These two blue-violet devils are devil envoys. Last time, when the devil clan attacked my Haoranjin sect, 3 devil envoys stopped my nephew Yi Tianzong. You have also felt that the strength of these devil envoys cannot be judged by common sense. Ordinary masters of the same level can't even last 3 moves in their hands. The strength of each devil envoys of the same level is only slightly weaker than my nephew Yi Tianzong. Last time, the 3 devil envoys joined forces, and even my nephew Tianzong could only be suppressed by them. If Tianzong didn't have a unique skill to turn the tables, my Haoranjin sect would really be in danger. This time there are 2 devil envoys. It seems that the devil clan is determined to win this time. If we are in such a situation, the Kunlun sect must be in a bad situation as well. The only thing we can do now is to hurry to my Haoranjin sect and ask my nephew Tianzong. Only he can deal with these 2 devil envoys." Chapter 166. That's 2 chapters for today. Originally, he planned to write 3 chapters to finish the plot of attacking Lingyun Hall and Kunlun sect in one go. But he didn't expect that he still couldn't finish it. He would never raise flags again. After Yi Haoyun finished speaking, the master of Lingyun Hall glanced at the supermasters of Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven. When he saw that they didn't oppose and even evaded, he was shocked. He immediately knew that the masters of Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven were not sure that they could resist the 2 devil envoys outside. They might be able to hold them back with more people. But what about the other masters of the devil clan? They had fewer masters than the devil clan. If they didn't ask for help to hold back the 2 invincible devil envoys, they would be at the mercy of the devil clan when the Lingyun sky formation was broken. So the master of Lingyun Hall hurriedly said to Yi Haoyun, "In this case, please invite the young lord of your sect." Yi Haoyun didn't refuse. He directly sent people to Haoranjin sect through the transmitting formation. But then Yi Haoyun said, "Masterling, when I came here, Tianzong was still in closed-door training. It will take some time for him to come here. During this time, we have to rely on ourselves. Now the mountain guarding formation is about to collapse. Is there any other way to stall for time?" After Yi Haoyun finished speaking, the master of Lingyun Hall said in a heavy tone, "The Lingyun sky formation is already the most powerful defensive formation of our Lingyun Hall. But I didn't expect that the Devil Clan would attack with such a powerful lineup. Although our Lingyun Hall also prepared some other defensive formations, we didn't have enough time to arrange them. After the master of Lingyun Hall finished speaking, everyone's heart sank. So when the formation was broken, they could only fight with the Devil Clan face to face. Yi Haoyun wasn't that pessimistic. After listening to the Lingyun Hall master's words, he said, "Since that's the case, when my Haoranzhen sect came this time, we considered the possibility that such a problem might arise. Therefore, we brought a set of array discs that should be useful. This set of array discs is the Great Mountain Protection Array of my Haoranzhen sect. However, this set of array discs is a one-use item. Once it's used up, it will become useless. I think it should be able to last for about 2 hours. I just don't know if Hall Masterling would mind if my Haoranzhen sect's people set up this array disc on Lingyun Peak." After Yi Haoyun finished speaking, the Lingyun Hall Master immediately said in surprise, "There's no need to think about it. Hall Master Yi, just order your people to quickly set up the formation plate. There are no rules in this critical moment." After the master of Lingyun Hall finished speaking, all the experts present in the Lingyun Hall didn't object. At this time, they were about to fight with the Devil Clan in close quarters. How could they care about rules? It wasn't that they were afraid of the Devil Clan, but when they saw the overwhelming army of the Devil Clan outside, once the Great Mountain Protection Array was broken, their Lingyun Hall's current strength was no match for the Devil Clan at all. Although, as the inheritance of the Divine King, their Lingyun Hall naturally had a lot of trump cards and contingencies in the hundreds of thousands of years of entanglement with the Devil Clan in ancient times. Most of those trump cards had been used up. Even if they took out those trump cards that could be used this time, they would definitely be able to defeat the Devil Clan's invasion. However, the Devil Clan's attack was too fast. They simply didn't have time to go to a secret place to take out those powerful trump cards. Since the formation plate brought by the Haoranzhen sect could delay the Devil Clan for 2 hours, of course, they couldn't ask for more. It just so happened that they had time to take out those dust-covered contingencies. After receiving permission from the master of Lingyun Hall, Yi Haoyun didn't delay. He turned around and led the saint-level experts of the Haoranzhen sect to set up the formation plate of the Haoran Everlasting Formation. In less than a quarter of an hour, the formation plate was set up. At this time, the Lingyun Sky-Filling Formation was about to be broken by the Devil Clan. Yi Haoyun gave the order to activate the formation plate of the Haoran Everlasting Formation. Suddenly, a layer of dazzling golden light enveloped the entire Lingyun Peak. Just as the vast infinitum array enveloped the Lingyun Peak, the Lingyun Sky Filling Array, which had been on the verge of collapse, was immediately destroyed by the countless demon powerhouses outside. After breaking through the Lingyun Sky Filling Formation, the Devil Clan didn't even have time to rejoice when they saw the dazzling golden light cover. Why was this light cover so familiar? That golden light was really disgusting. This was the formation of the Haoranzhen sect. Those experts of the Devil Clan who had once attacked the Haoranzhen sect and successfully escaped, after seeing the golden light cover that enveloped the Lingyun Peak, they recalled what this golden light cover was. But after thinking about it, the anger in their hearts surged. They couldn't help but roar, "Haoranzhen sect, it's you bastards again. Why are you everywhere? You really deserve to die. I'll definitely make you die without a burial place." The enraged demon race experts immediately began to attack the golden light shield below them. The roars of those experts of the Devil Clan were not only heard by the Devil Clan outside, but also by everyone inside the formation. Regarding the crazy behavior of the Devil Clan outside, the people of Lingyun Hall and the 10 Great Holy Lands felt for the first time that the Abyss Devil Clan hated the Haoranzhen sect so much. Yi Haoyun couldn't help but reach out to touch his nose. Well, okay, the Devil Clan really hated the Haoranzhen sect. When the 2 devil envoys at the center of the Devil Clan heard the Devil Clan say that this golden light cover was the mountain protection formation of the Haoranzhen sect, a bad premonition arose in their hearts. Although they were devil envoys that had been personally guided by the Wushang demon lord, they were extremely powerful and didn't put anyone in their eyes. However, they still didn't dare to take Yi Tianzong, a human that even the Wushang demon lord wanted to kill. After all, during the previous attack on the Haoran Orthodox sect, 3 devil envoys with the same status as them had fallen at Yi Tianzong's hands. This operation was to first eliminate or severely damage the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect and break off the support of the allies of the Haoranjin sect. Then they would focus on dealing with the Haoranjin sect. But now it seemed that attacking the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect wouldn't be so easy. The golden light cover in front of them carried Haoran's masculine aura and had a partial restraining effect on the Devil Clan. Under normal circumstances, it would take at least an hour to break it. If Yi Tianzong of the Haoranjin sect arrived by then, it would be troublesome. They had to break this light cover before Yi Tianzong arrived. Therefore, the 2 devil envoys looked at each other and respectively took out a fist-sized black-red hexagonal crystal from the token engraved with black devil flame patterns on their waists. This black-red hexagonal crystal was refined from the blood and resentment of countless creatures killed by the Devil Clan and the 9 nether devil chi bestowed by the Wushang demon lord over a period of 10 years. It was used to deal with the Haoranjin sect. To be precise, it was used to resist the Haoran's righteous aura between heaven and earth. The moment the black-red hexagonal crystal appeared, a corrosive, filthy, and monstrous resentment aura filled the space within 100 miles. The 2 devil envoys didn't dare to hold the black-red hexagonal crystal for a long time. Instead, they hurriedly threw the 2 crystals at the golden light cover below them. After the black-red crystals landed on the golden light cover of the Haoran's everlasting formation, the golden light cover suddenly became unstable. Yi Haoyun sensed that the power of the formation plate was rapidly depleting. At this rate, the Haoran's everlasting formation would disappear due to insufficient energy in less than a quarter of an hour. Just as Yi Haoyun and the others were feeling anxious, Yi Tianzong finally arrived at the Lingyun Peak and launched an attack on the 2 devil envoys. After 100 years, Yi Tianzong once again clashed with the devil envoys. Chapter 167. When the 2 demon envoys took out the black-red hexagonal crystals, Yi Tianzong had already concealed himself and arrived near the 2 demon envoys. After the 2 demon envoys threw out the hexagonal crystals, Yi Tianzong knew the threat of the black-red hexagonal crystals. Therefore, he directly attacked the demon envoys. 2 domineering, suppressing, whirled fists blasted towards them. While the 2 demon envoys were somewhat flustered to resist Yi Tianzong's attack, Yi Tianzong took the opportunity to use a martial skill to capture the 2 hexagonal crystals that were corroding the Haoran everlasting array into the immortal mansion. After retrieving the hexagonal crystals that were corroding the Haoran everlasting array, Yi Tianzong didn't stop and continued to fight with the 2 demon envoys. When the 2 demon envoys saw Yi Tianzong attack, they knew that Yi Tianzong had arrived. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Yi Tianzong was the biggest enemy of the entire Abyss demon race. The 2 demon envoys knew that Yi Tianzong was very difficult to deal with, so they didn't care about anything else and focused all their attention on fighting Yi Tianzong. In a short period of time, Yi Tianzong and the 2 demon envoys had exchanged dozens of blows. This time, Yi Tianzong didn't get careless and get trapped in the middle like last time. Instead, he fought with the 2 demon envoys head-on like an invincible war god. He used suppressing world fist, heaven-covering palm, god-shattering finger, space-rending claw, and other powerful martial skills one after another. The 3 of them were invincible powerhouses that far surpassed Wu Shang's 9th heavenly layer. Even if they faced a first heavenly layer existence, they could still fight head-on. Therefore, the 3 of them fought with great momentum. The scene was intense and shocking. Within a radius of several hundred li, violent energy surged and wreaked havoc. The powerful attack's aftermath swept through everything. Even an ordinary Wu Sheng's ninth heavenly layer powerhouse couldn't get close. As Yi Tianzong fought with the two demon envoys, everyone within the Howren everlasting array was rejoicing in their hearts. Those who could cultivate to Wu Sheng's seventh heavenly layer and above were all experienced and knowledgeable people. When the Howren everlasting array was activated, as long as they were knowledgeable people, they would discover the wonders and power of the array formation. Moreover, that layer of golden light could faintly restrain the abyss demons. They originally thought that it would be enough to last for an hour, but before they could rejoice for too long, they saw the two demon envoys outside take out two black and red hexagonal crystals and throw them onto the array formation. Then, they discovered that the originally impregnable array formation started to become unstable. Those two black and red crystals emitted a monstrous aura of resentment, corrosion, and filth, making everyone tremble in fear. Just when they thought that the array formation was about to be destroyed, Yi Tianzong appeared in time. Not only did he take away the two black and red crystals of the corrosive array formation, but he also fought with the two demon envoys who suppressed everyone to the point that they could hardly breathe with just their aura. Seeing Yi Tianzong fiercely fighting with the two demon envoys across their array formation like an invincible god of war, those experts above the seventh heavenly layer of Wusheng, who woke up from the secret realm after the expansion of heaven and earth, immediately extinguished the disapproval and unwillingness in their hearts. Instead, they were deeply shocked, especially those who stood at the peak of Wu Sheng's ninth heavenly layer. Many of them had seen the power of the myth realm experts. Compared with the myth realm experts in their memories, the strength and power displayed by Yi Tianzong and the two demon envoys were not weaker than some ordinary experts at the first heavenly layer of the myth realm. Among the ninth heavenly layer of the myth realm, even the lowest first heavenly layer of martial god was a far cry from Wu Sheng's ninth heavenly layer. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. A martial god at the first heavenly layer of the myth realm could easily crush 100 experts at the ninth heavenly layer of Wu Sheng. In the millions of years of history of the spirit world, there were countless peerless geniuses, and it was common for them to fight above their level. However, there had never been a peerless genius who could fight against an expert at the first heavenly layer of the myth realm at the ninth heavenly layer of Wusheng. There had never been one, not even the descendants of the God King. But today, in front of their eyes, whether it was Yi Tianzong or the two demon envoys, both of them had shown extraordinary strength that could fight against the myth realm experts. Forget about the two demon envoys, but Yi Tianzong, according to their understanding, as long as he did not fall midway, he would definitely become the strongest God King in the future. Fortunately, they had Yi Tianzong to block the two demon envoys. Otherwise, even though they had the advantage in numbers, as long as the great formation was broken, no matter how many people there were, they would be nothing more than food to the two demon envoys. It would only be a matter of time before they were destroyed. The people of Hao Ranjin sect, Lingyun Hall, and the 10 Holy Lands nervously watched the golden light shield of Howren's limitless great formation become dimmer and dimmer under the attack of countless experts of the demon race outside. The experts of Lingyun Hall who went to open the secret vault finally returned. There were 3 of them, each holding a white spear with a diameter of half a foot. These 3 white spears with a diameter of half a foot were a one-time offensive forbidden weapon that was specially made by the myth realm experts of Lingyun Hall. These 3 white spears were sealed with a magical attack of the first heavenly layer of the myth realm martial god, Cloud, shrouding the sun. It was a group attack. Once the white spear was activated, it would kill any enemy below the first heavenly layer of the myth realm within 100 miles of the attacking direction. It was suitable for dealing with the demon race outside the Great Formation. Thousands of miles high in the sky, the battle between Yi Tianzong and the 2 demon envoys was coming to an end. Without using the boundless godly sword and the boundless sword technique, Yi Tianzong was evenly matched with the two demon envoys. Strictly speaking, Yi Tianzong had a slight upper hand. However, Yi Tianzong did not have the mood and time to be entangled with the two demon envoys. The Kunlun sect was still waiting for him to save the situation. Therefore, after fighting with the two demon envoys for a while, Yi Tianzong took out the boundless godly sword and used the sword technique to fight with the two demon envoys. Yi Tianzong, who had used his most powerful attack, immediately suppressed the two demon envoys. Under the attack of the sword technique, Yi Tianzong killed the two demon envoys in less than a quarter of an hour. After that, he collected the 2 drops of demon blood left behind by the two demon envoys. After Yi Tianzong killed the two demon envoys, the countless demon envoys on the Lingyun Peak below finally broke through the Howran everlasting formation under the frenzied attacks of the countless demon envoys. The golden light shield disappeared. Just as the countless Wu Zun and Wu Sheng level demon envoys were about to slaughter the people on the Lingyun Peak, 3 9th heavenly layer Wuxing experts of the Lingyun Hall stood in 3 different directions and activated the white spheres in their hands towards the ferocious and brutal demon envoys. The moment the white spheres shattered, 3 attacks containing boundless divine power poured out towards the countless demon envoys who were attacking the Lingyun Peak. The boundless divine power rapidly formed 3 dense black clouds in 3 different directions. At the same time, it aroused the power of heaven and earth. With an irresistible crushing force, it strangled the countless demon envoys within 100 miles of the 3 directions. Under such a powerful group attack, tens of thousands of demon envoys fell. In total, more than 100,000 Saint-level demon envoys and 400,000 Wu Zun level demon envoys were killed. After losing more than 500,000 Saint-level and Venerable-level demon envoys at once, the remaining demon envoys immediately stopped their attacks in horror. Then they rapidly retreated hundreds of miles away, looking at the people on the Lingyun Peak with lingering fear. Just when the demon envoys were still in shock and uncertainty, Yi Tianzong, who had killed 2 demon envoys, had already arrived in front of the Lingyun Peak. Looking at the demon envoys who were in disarray and fearful of advancing forward, Yi Tianzong immediately activated his divine soul to launch a large-scale divine soul attack. All the demon envoys within a radius of 300 miles were attacked by Yi Tianzong's divine soul sword. After launching the divine soul attack, Yi Tianzong immediately raised the boundless godly sword high and performed the second style of the boundless sword technique, sword sweeping demons. The vast and boundless Dharma power in his body was injected into the boundless godly sword. The golden sword pillar that soared into the sky turned into countless Howran sword cheese, and then formed a torrent of sword cheese that attacked the demon envoys whose primordial spirits were severely injured. With this move, Yi Tianzong consumed 80% of his Dharma power and killed hundreds of thousands of Saint-level and Venerable-level demon envoys within a radius of 300 miles. Chapter 168. The damage caused by Yi Tianzong's divine soul attack and the sword-sweeping demons was almost comparable to the 3 forbidden weapons used by the experts of Lingyun Hall, which shocked everyone on Lingyun Peak. Looking at Yi Haoyun and the others on Lingyun Peak, Yi Tianzong said, "I'll leave the rest of the devil tribe to you. I'll go to Kunlun sect first." After that, Yi Tianzong turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the sky. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in Lingyun City. Then he activated the transmitting formation and went to Kunlun sect. After Yi Tianzong left, Yi Haoyun proudly said to the master of Lingyun Hall on Lingyun Peak, "Lord Ling, now that the strength of the Devil Tribe has been greatly reduced, we might as well take the initiative to attack and eliminate the Devil Tribe. We also need to find the underground layers of the Devil Tribe as soon as possible to prevent the Devil Tribe from expanding and killing everywhere." After Yi Haoyun finished speaking, the master of Lingyun Hall regained his composure and replied, "Lord Yi is right. We really can't waste time. everyone of Lingyun Hall, listen to my orders and kill the devil tribe. After that, the master of Lingyun Hall launched an attack on the devil tribe in the distance. Yi Haoyun led the people of Hao Ranjin sect and the experts from the 10 Holy Lands to help. They also launched an attack behind the people of Lingyun Hall. Through the transmitting formation, Yi Tianzong arrived at Kunlun City under Kunlun sect in less than half an hour. At this time, Kunlun City had been attacked by the devil tribe. Looking from afar, countless devil tribes surrounded Kunlun City. However, because of the defensive formations set up by Kunlun City, the devil tribe did not break into the city for the time being. However, seeing that the defensive formation was not stable under the attack of countless devil tribe outside, it should not be able to hold on for too long. In this regard, Yi Tianzong did not take any other action. Instead, he first entered the immortal mansion and swallowed the crisis reversal pill. Then, with the help of the rich qi of heaven and earth in the immortal mansion, he recovered his lost Dharma power at the fastest speed. In less than half an hour in the outside world, Yi Tianzong recovered all his Dharma power. Then he walked out of the immortal mansion, directly broke through the defensive light shield of Kunlun sect's formation, and appeared outside Kunlun City. Seeing Yi Tianzong's formation, the devil tribe, who had been attacking the defensive formation outside Kunlun City, immediately rushed toward Yi Tianzong excitedly. Yi Tianzong's devil tribe had had a demon tribe, and below was realm. Although their numbers was uncountable demons realm, and below realm. Realm were countless numbers, realm and below were realm, and below realm and realm, and realm. And realms, realm, and realm. Looking at the numerous devils blocking his way, Yi Tianzong snorted coldly and took out a jade talisman that he had made before. These jade talismans were made by Yi Tianzong in his spare time after he reached the 9th heaven of Wushang. These jade talismans were low-quality, purifying talismans. These low-quality, purifying talismans were more difficult to make. They could only purify all the devils realm level 3 of Wusheng within a radius of 15 miles. Compared with the purifying talismans that Yi Tianzong had made in his heyday, these jade talismans were much weaker. However, they were more than enough to deal with the devil's realm and below realm of Wu King. If it were not for the fact that he did not want to waste time and Dharma power, Yi Tianzong would not have used these low-quality, purifying talismans. Yi Tianzong looked at the demons that were about to attack him and directly crushed the inferior version of the purifying god talisman on them. A pure white halo with a purifying power spread out from Yi Tianzong within a short period of time, covering the area within a radius of 15 miles. Wherever the white halo passed, all the devils were turned into ashes. Instantly, a huge blank area with a radius of 15 miles appeared in the black screen formed by countless devils. Paying no attention to how many devils this low-quality, purifying talisman had killed, Yi Tianzong rose into the sky and transformed into a beam of light, flying towards Kunlun Mountain. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at Kunlun Mountain, which was tens of thousands of miles away. At the moment, Kunlun Mountain was in a very dangerous situation. As Yi Tianzong expected, the devil army that attacked Kunlun sect was also led by 2 devil envoys, who were at the 9th heaven of Wushang. The defensive formation of Kunlun sect, Kunlun Xiantian Great Formation, had long been broken by countless devil experts. As for Yi Yuanshan and a group of righteousness powerhouses who came to support Kunlun sect, they carried a set of vast and infinite array discs, which were corroded by the black-red hexagonal crystals taken out by the 2 demon envoys. When Yi Tianzong had just arrived at Kunlun City, the vast and infinite array discs had already been scrapped. Fortunately, Kunlun sect had prepared a set of composite defensive formations in the past few years. Although it was broken by the 2 devil envoys and countless devil experts in just a quarter of an hour, they had at least gained some time. By the time Yi Tianzong arrived at Kunlun Mountain, the two devil envoys and countless devil experts had just broken the final defensive formation prepared by Kunlun sect. They had already started fighting with the people of Kunlun sect, Haoranjin sect, and the 10 Holy Lands on Kunlun Mountain. The people of Kunlun sect, Haoranjin sect, and the 10 Holy Lands were in a very precarious situation. The number of Wu Sheng and Wu Zun level experts of Devil Clan was at least double that of Kunlun Mountain. Not to mention that there was no one on Kunlun Mountain who could resist the two devil envoys. Even though Kunlun Mountain had sent more than 30 Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven experts to stop the two devil envoys, more than half of them were killed in less than 5 minutes. Kunlun Peak had fallen into an absolute disadvantage in just a brief exchange of blows. Yi Tianzong searched the battlefield with his spirit and found that his grandfather was being besieged by 5 Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven experts of Devil Clan. He directly activated the power of his spirit and attacked those 5 devil experts. The 5 Ninth Heaven experts of Devil Clan were caught off guard and their primordial spirits were directly destroyed by Yi Tianzong. They died instantly. When Yi Tianzong was still in a daze and didn't know what had happened, he took out a low-quality version of the divine purification talisman and directly crushed it. Then hundreds of thousands of devil experts below the 3rd heaven of Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven within a radius of 30 miles were all turned into ashes under the holy white purifying halo. Even the devil experts above the 3rd heaven of Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven were more or less injured. The sudden change attracted everyone's attention. When everyone, including the Devil Clan, was looking at the gradually dissipating white purifying halo, Yi Tianzong's figure directly stepped out of the white halo and appeared in front of everyone. After throwing out 2 low-quality divine purification talismans to Yi Tianzong, he locked onto 2 devil envoys who had killed more than 20 Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven experts in a short period of time. Yi Tianzong directly said, "2 devil envoys, your opponent is me. The 2 who went to Lingyun Hall have already been killed by me. It's your turn now." Before Yi Tianzong could finish his words, 2 incomparably fierce god-shattering finger forces, which could penetrate all things in the world, attacked the 2 devil envoys. After hearing Yi Tianzong's words, the 2 devil envoys were skeptical. However, facing Yi Tianzong's attack, they didn't panic. After all, there were powerful existences who could fight evenly with Yi Tianzong in a normal state. When the 2 devil envoys dispersed the 2 god-shattering finger forces, they simultaneously launched a counterattack against Yi Tianzong. The battle between Yi Tianzong and the 2 demon envoys had already reached the level of myth realm. It was not a battle that the other experts present could participate in. Therefore, the 3 of them were fighting at a height of over 10,000 miles. They were displaying their full strength without any scruples. They were using everything they had learned in a fierce confrontation. After Yi Tianzong fought with the 2 devil envoys below and left, Yi Tianzong looked at the situation where he was outnumbered and shouted to all the experts of Haoranjin sect, "Haoran, watch me. After you escape, form groups of 7 and form Haoran's Big Dipper sword formation to fight against the enemy." After Yi Tianzong finished speaking, he quickly came to a place where the devil envoys were more concentrated. Then he crushed a low-quality divine purification talisman, and a purifying halo spread out. All the devil envoys within the range of the purifying halo abandoned their opponents under the threat of the purifying halo and avoided the range of the purifying halo. Taking advantage of this opportunity, all the experts of Haoranjin sect formed groups of 7 and formed Haoran's Big Dipper sword formation to fight against the enemy. When the 7 people formed Haoran's Big Dipper sword formation and cooperated with each other, it was enough to resist 5 times the number of the devil envoys. Although Yi Tianzong crushed 2 low-quality divine purification talismans and made most of the people of Haoranjin sect form groups of 7 and form Haoran's Big Dipper sword formation to hold back nearly 30% of the devil envoys, the devil envoys still had the upper hand in the overall battle situation. The trump card that Kunlun sect had originally used to deal with the devil envoys was blocked by the 2 devil envoys in the battle just now, so it did not cause much damage to the devil envoys. If they really wanted to reverse the battle situation, they still had to see the result of the confrontation between Yi Tianzong and the 2 devil envoys. Just as the people of Kunlun sect, Haoranjin sect, and the 10 Holy Lands were struggling to resist the attack of the devil envoys. High up in the sky, the result of the battle between Yi Tianzong and the 2 devil envoys was about to be decided. Without using the boundless godly sword and sword techniques, Yi Tianzong had a slight upper hand in the battle against the 2 devil envoys. However, Yi Tianzong felt it was a pity that the timing was not right. The battle below was at a disadvantage, and the situation was not good. There was no extra time for Yi Tianzong to fight to his heart's content with the 2 devil envoys and seek to improve his strength further. Therefore, Yi Tianzong could only end the battle as soon as possible. Taking out the boundless godly sword, Yi Tianzong performed the boundless sword technique, and his battle prowess and attack power instantly increased by more than 2 times. The 2 devil envoys immediately fell into a disadvantageous position, and in a short period of time they were surrounded by danger. Even if they wanted to retreat and escape, they were blocked by Yi Tianzong's sharp sword qi. In less than a quarter of an hour, the 2 devil envoys were killed by Yi Tianzong. Waving his hand, Yi Tianzong collected the 2 drops of devil blood and directly descended to the battlefield below, holding the boundless godly sword in his hand. He began to slaughter the devil envoys without any scruples. As Yi Tianzong broke the balance and entered the battlefield with invincible battle prowess, after a round of slaughter, the devil envoys began to flee, and the crisis of Kunlun sect was finally resolved. Chapter 169. Holding the boundless swordsman in his hand, Yi Tianzong wantonly slashed out streams of sharp sword qi that could destroy everything in their path. Among the countless devils, he was invincible, and no one could stop him. Yi Tianzong had killed more than 1 million devils at the level of Wu Zun and Wu Sheng. As for the rest of the devils who fled in disorder, Yi Tianzong left them to the people from Kunlun sect, Haoranjin sect, and the 10 Holy Lands. Tens of thousands of miles away from Kunlun Peak, there was an underground lair of the devils. There were hundreds of millions of devils in this lair. Now, the devils at the level of Marquis Wu and above were escaping through the teleporting tunnels, while the low-level devils at the level of Marquis Wu and below appeared on the ground through 10 huge tunnels under the orders of the devils. After that, they began to expand in all directions and began to slaughter the devils without any scruples. It seemed that because of the failure of the plan to attack Kunlun sect, the devils had decided to go all out. They did not want Kunlun sect to have an easy time. Taking advantage of the fact that the main forces of Kunlun sect had not arrived yet, they expanded as much as they could. As for the extermination of these low-level devils, it was left to the people from Kunlun sect, Haoranjin sect, and the 10 Holy Lands. After killing more than 1 million devils, Yi Tianzong bid farewell to Yi Yuanshan and the others, and then returned to Haoranjin sect. The leader of Kunlun sect and the people from the 10 Holy Lands did not have any objection to this. Yi Tianzong was so powerful that when they fought with the devils in the future, they would still need his help to deal with the devil envoys. Moreover, Yi Tianzong had already helped them to kill many devils, so it was reasonable for them to deal with the rest of the devils. Because Yi Tianzong acted in time and killed the 4 devil envoys that were the trump card of the devil clan, causing the devil clan's meticulously planned plan against the Cloud Over Palace and the Kunlun sect to fail completely. Because of this, the devil clan also lost a lot of high-end combat power. All the higher-ups of the devil clan hated Yi Tianzong and the Haoran Orthodox sect even more. They couldn't wait to gather all their forces to destroy the Haoran Orthodox sect. Unfortunately, they were too far away. Time continued to pass. With the help of the Devil-Killing Alliance, Lingyun Hall and Kunlun sect cleaned up all the devils who had escaped from the underground nests to the surface in their respective territories. When Yi Tianzong took action, Ling Yun Hall and Kunlun's sect defeated the devils with the help of Hao Ranjin's sect and the 10 Holy Lands. The reinforcements from the devil-killing alliance only came late when they were cleaning up the underground nests in their territories. Just like the previous time when Hao Ranjin's sect was attacked by the devils, this time when Ling Yun Hall and Kunlun's sect were attacked, the devil-killing alliance was once again held back by the devils from all over the Central Plains. It was not until the devil's plan failed that the reinforcements from the devil-killing alliance arrived at Ling Yun Hall and Kunlun's sect. Fortunately, Ling Yun Hall, Kunlun's sect, Hao Ranjin's sect, and the 10 Holy Lands had already established large-scale teleportation portals to prevent a similar situation from happening. They could quickly support each other. Therefore, the two factions did not expect the devil-killing alliance to come to their aid in time. Otherwise, by the time the devil-killing alliance arrived, Ling Yun Hall and Kunlun's sect would have been done for. The attack on Ling Yun Hall and Kunlun's sect ignited the flames of war between the devil-killing alliance and the abyssal devils after the 6th seal of heaven and earth was broken. The devil-killing alliance and the abyssal devils returned to the situation where they had been fighting for years. This time, the devils' plan to attack Ling Yun Hall and Kunlun's sect failed, and they lost a large number of high-end combat forces. The strength that was originally stronger than the devil-killing alliance was once again pulled back to the same level as the devil-killing alliance. With the support of all the major factions in the Central Plains, the devil-killing alliance and the abyssal devils were once again evenly matched. Just as the battle between the major factions in the Central Plains and the abyssal devils was in full swing, the Penglai sect party from the Endless Seas finally arrived at the Central Plains after crossing the distance of hundreds of millions of miles. After setting foot on the Central Plains, the group from the Penglai sect was not in a hurry to head straight for the Overcloud Palace and the Kunlun sect. Instead, they first found a place to rest for 7 days while they inquired about the recent happenings in the Central Plains from nearby warrior mercenary guilds. With a plan in mind, they took a warp portal and headed for the Overcloud Palace. It took them less than 3 days to reach Lingyun City, and the Penglai sect party followed the procedure of visiting. They handed over the invitation card to the Lingyun Hall elder, who was in charge of Lingyun City. In the Lingyun Hall on Lingyun Peak, the master of Lingyun Hall and the other upper echelons were looking at the Penglai sect's invitation card with a sour expression. Even if the Penglai sect had handed over the invitation card according to procedure, every Lingyun Hall's upper echelons were very displeased with the way the Penglai sect spoke. That was when a supreme elder of Wu Sheng's 9th heaven pinnacle in Lingyun Hall said in dissatisfaction, "Humph! The Penglai sect's arrogance and self-righteousness is really passed down from generation to generation. Setting aside the Penglai god king of the mythological era, everyone from the Penglai sect had always been prideful. In ancient times, the abyssal devils were so powerful that the Penglai sect, a member of the human race, was inferior to the sea tribe. Not only did they not fight the abyssal devils, they even took the opportunity to suppress us, the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect. Over hundreds of thousands of years, we and the Kunlun sect had lost at least 60% of our resources, while the Penglai sect took the opportunity to strengthen themselves. Now that the world is slowly recovering, those bastards from the Penglai sect are trying to strut around again. They are simply inhumane." A cold glint flashed in the eyes of the Lingyun Hall master's dignified face as he looked at the upper echelons in the hall and said, "The Penglai sect's visit this time is actually a provocation. They just want to measure the depth of our Lingyun Hall and see how much power we have. The invitation card states that the Penglai sect's divine child and some other prodigies would like to compete with the prodigies of our Lingyun Hall. If that's the case, we'll grant them their wish. It's a good opportunity to measure their depth and see what's so special about these prideful Penglai sect people. Tell them to enter the mountain the day after tomorrow." With that, the Lingyun Hall master discussed with the other upper echelons about how they should deal with the Penglai sect the day after tomorrow. The news that the Penglai sect's divine child and other prodigies had come to the Lingyun Hall to teach the prodigies of the Lingyun Hall spread throughout the entire Lingyun Peak. Once the news spread, the prodigies of the Lingyun Hall were all enraged. Being the prodigies of the Lingyun Hall, they naturally had some understanding of the Penglai sect, which was also a legacy of the Divine King. They also had a basic understanding of some of the doings of the Penglai sect in ancient times. Therefore, when they suddenly heard that the Penglai sect was here to teach them, they knew that they were just here to pick a fight. Teaching them? Who do you think you are? Despicable and shameless things. Ever since the disciples of the Hao Ranjin sect had achieved dazzling results in every prodigy tournament, the triennial Dragon Phoenix leaderboard of prodigies of the Hao Ranjin sect was also familiar to the major factions of the Central Plains. After that, the major factions followed the rules of the Dragon Phoenix leaderboard of prodigies of the Hao Ranjin sect and formulated their own competitions for their prodigies. In the first place, the Lingyun Hall had its own internal competitions for its disciples as well. However, it was only held once every 5 years and was not as meticulous as the Hao Ranjin sects. After using the Hao Ranjin sect's Dragon Phoenix leaderboard of prodigies as a reference, the Lingyun Hall came up with its very own Lingyun Prodigy leaderboard. Similarly, it also came up with 5 prodigy leaderboards based on the ranks of the outer, inner, elite, core, and personal disciples. Each leaderboard had 108 names, and the competition was held once every 3 years. Needless to say, with that method, the Lingyun Hall really discovered some prodigies that it had not noticed before. These prodigies, who were selected through the Lingyun Prodigy leaderboard of prodigies, were the main force of the Lingyun Hall in the Central Plains Prodigy tournament that was held once every 10 years. Aside from the disciples of the Hao Ranjin sect, only the disciples of the Kunlun sect were on par with them. The prodigies of the other sacred grounds and super factions were no match for the Lingyun Hall in terms of overall strength and individual performance. Chapter 170. Finally, it was Saturday and Sunday. The author was lazy and only updated 2 times today. 3 times tomorrow. Please recommend and bookmark me. Thank you. The Penglai sect's provocation left every disciple of Lingyun Hall fuming, especially those who had participated in the Central Plains Heavens Chosen tournament. Each of them were seething with murderous intent when they heard that the Penglai sect had come to provoke them and were determined to teach them a lesson. 2 days passed quickly. Under the guidance of the Lingyun Hall's elders, the Penglai sect had arrived at Lingyun Peak from Lingyun City. After meeting the leaders of Lingyun Hall and the other Lingyun Hall leaders, the Penglai sect remained haughty despite knowing that the Lingyun Hall was a faction that inherited the Divine King's legacy. Even so, they spoke as if they were above the Lingyun Hall. That left the leaders of Lingyun Hall so pissed that they could not wait to kill the Penglai sect's people, and naturally did not treat them kindly. Even as they were angry at the Penglai sect's arrogance, the people of Lingyun Hall were secretly shocked at the Penglai sect's depth and power. It was merely a single trip of the Penglai sect's divine child and a dozen of their elite disciples, and yet they had sent 500 Wushungs, 7th heavenly tier, and above to protect them. It appeared that the Penglai sect's power was much greater than they had estimated, since the Lingyun Hall only had around 1,200 over Wushungs, 7th heavenly tier, and above. Still, despite their shock, the people of Lingyun Hall were not at all afraid of the Penglai sect's people, who were much more powerful than they were. Aren't you Penglai sect's people arrogant and lofty? I'm not going to spoil that bad habit of yours. A bunch of arrogant bastards. Who doesn't know how to make a face? What can you do in our territory? We'll teach you a lesson if you dare to make a fuss. If the Penglai sect had the guts to cross the ocean and cause trouble at Lingyun Hall, even if we can't beat you, we still have allies. Could you be more powerful than the 13 of us combined? With such a mindset, even the leaders of the Overcloud Palace spoke with sarcasm and indifference towards the haughty Penglai sect party, not giving the Penglai sect any face at all. When they saw that the people of the Lingyun Hall were not giving them any face, the Penglai sect's divine child and the hundreds of elites were gloomy as well. Their displeasure was clearly written all over their faces. Perhaps they had realized that there was something wrong with their attitude. Still, the Penglai sect was powerful, and so what if they were a little arrogant? It was impossible for them to lower their heads and ease the unpleasant atmosphere. Amidst the tense atmosphere where everyone looked down on each other, Xianichen, the Penglai sect's divine child, spoke stiffly to the Lingyun Hall's master. Hall Masterling, we're here to spar with your prodigy disciples and see what they're capable of. When should we begin? Xian Yichen's words were matter of fact, as if he was certain that the Lingyun Hall's disciples would lose for sure. At Xian Yichen's words, the Lingyun Hall's master almost could not hold back from slapping the so-called Penglai sect's divine child of the fifth heaven of Wuxing to death. Looking at the Penglai sect's divine child expressionlessly and indifferently, the Lingyun Hall's master said nonchalantly, "Oh, you want to spar with my disciples? Let's talk about it tomorrow. My Lingyun Hall's disciples should be free tomorrow, and I'll ask them to spare some time to spar with you then. Everyone in the Lingyun Hall is very busy, and I can only spare some time to play with you guys for such a messy and time-wasting thing." Being rebutted by the Lingyun Hall's master, Xianichen's heart was burning with rage. In the boundless ocean, in the Penglai sect, when had he, Xianichen, ever been mocked like this? Sparing time to spar with your disciples? What's more, it's a messy and time-wasting thing. Are you trying to humiliate me? Fortunately, Xianichen still remembered that this was the Lingyun Hall's base camp. Being presumptuous here would not end well. The powerful aura that was faintly rising on the Lingyun peak made them not dare to be too presumptuous here. After calming down a little of his anger, Xianichen said with a gloomy face, "Then I'll have to trouble Hall Masterling to arrange a place for us to stay. We'll spar with your disciples tomorrow." The Lingyun Hall's master did not mind Xian Yichen's ugly expression and said nonchalantly, "Oh, no problem. We've already tidied up some of the places where we used to store miscellaneous items yesterday and vacated a room. I'll send someone to lead you there now. I hope you have a good time." With that, the Lingyun Hall's master called for a disciple of Wu Zongjing and led the Penglai sect's people to the accommodations arranged for them. After the Penglai sect's people left with ugly expressions, the Lingyun Hall's elder of punishments laughed and said to the Lingyun Hall's master, "Haha, I didn't expect you to be so infuriating with your words, Hall Master. I'm happy to see those Penglai sect's grandsons' ugly faces." The elder of punishments' words immediately gained the approval of the other elders. The Lingyun Hall's master smiled nonchalantly and said, "Ha! If it weren't for the fact that fighting now would only do us more harm than good, I wouldn't have let them leave the Lingyun Hall in one piece. They're just a bunch of arrogant, despicable people. They're just trying to trample on our Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect while we're fighting the demons to spread their Penglai sect's name. They want to use this opportunity to reach their hands into the central plains and continue to ride roughshod over us like they did in ancient times. If we Lingyun Hall were alone before, we would still be wary of the Penglai sect. But now they want to trample on us to get to the top? They're just delusional and ignorant. Humph." After the Lingyun Hall's elder of punishments had spoken, the Lingyun Hall's elder of punishments said, "You're right, Hall Master. Our Lingyun Hall had lost more than 60% of our resources in ancient times when we were fighting the demons, and the Kunlun sect situation is similar. It's fine if the Penglai sect is hiding overseas and not helping us in the fight against the demons. But they're even taking advantage of the situation and secretly plotting against the factions of the Central Plains, wantonly plundering the various resources of the Central Plains and increasing their power by leaps and bounds. Now that the world has recovered, we're no match for the Penglai sect in terms of power, but we're on the same side as the Hao Ranjin sect, the Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Grounds. Could the Penglai sect be stronger than the 13 of us? There's no need to fear them at all. If the Penglai sect still wants to ride roughshod over the Central Plains and plunder resources like they did in ancient times, we could just join forces with the Hao Ranjin sect, the Kunlun sect, and the 10 Holy Grounds, and use the power of the Demon Slayer Alliance against them. But now is different from ancient times, We're evenly matched against the demons, and there's no need for us to rope in the Demon Slayer Alliance. Many factions could not stand their ugly table manners and despicable behavior back then, and many factions in the Demon Slayer Alliance would never let go of the chance to take care of the Penglai sect. I don't believe that we can't take care of those bastards. The Elder of Punishment's words were a reflection of the thoughts of the Lingyun Hall's higher-ups. After hearing that, the Lingyun Hall's hall master said, "It's only a matter of time before we take care of a faction like the Penglai sect that has forgotten their ancestors. Now, what's in front of us is how to teach these people a lesson that they won't forget. We, the Lingyun Hall, must not lose tomorrow's match." The elder in charge of the daily affairs of the Lingyun Hall then replied, "Rest assured, Hall Master, the disciples of the Lingyun Hall are already prepared. This time, we'll have the disciples who participated in the Prodigy tournament in Tianjiao City. It's not that I'm looking down on the Penglai sect, but it's undeniable that the dozen or so disciples that came this time are indeed powerful, especially that Penglai son of God. Although he's only at the 5th heaven of Wushang, he should be at the 6th heaven of Wushang's strength. On the other hand, our disciples are the most outstanding prodigies in the Central Plains and would only be stronger than them. We won't embarrass the Lingyun Hall in tomorrow's match." With the elder's assurance, the higher-ups of the Lingyun Hall nodded in relief. Apart from the disciples of the Hao Ranjin sect, the disciples of the Lingyun Hall were definitely not weaker than any other faction. As for the disciples of the Hao Ranjin sect, who had always been above them, all the higher-ups of the Lingyun Hall could only shake their heads helplessly when they thought about it. There was still a long way to go, and it was better to slowly catch up in the future. On the other side, in the courtyard where the Penglai sect disciples were, the Penglai son of God was throwing a tantrum. He, Xianichen, was born with the Wuji Xian body. Whether it was his potential or his cultivation speed, he was far superior to ordinary people. His life had always been smooth sailing since he was born, and the prideful Xianichen had never been so mercilessly mocked like today. Just now, he was holding back his anger, but after the people of the Lingyun Hall left, he could not hold back the anger in his heart and threw a tantrum, roaring that he would definitely defeat the people of the Lingyun Hall tomorrow and let them know the prestige and power of the Penglai sect. Chapter 171. Time passed quickly, and the next day soon arrived. After breakfast, hundreds of Lingyun Hall's most outstanding disciples were ready and waiting at the arena. The Penglai sect, who could not wait to teach the people of Lingyun Hall a lesson, had also arrived at the arena under the lead of the people of Lingyun Hall. The Penglai divine child looked at the Lingyun palace master with a haughty expression and said, "Palace Master Lingyun, this divine child will not be participating in the battle with your disciples this time around. The 15 disciples of my Penglai divine sect will be more than enough. When shall we begin?" The Lingyun Hall master did not mind the Penglai sect's provocation, since he did not want to see this bunch of eyesores from the Penglai sect. Therefore, the Penglai sect's refusal to participate was exactly what he wanted. The sooner the battle was over, the sooner they could scram. Hence, he said calmly, "Oh, it's up to any of you. My disciples of Lingyun Hall will accept your challenge. Since you are in such a hurry to leave, my Lingyun Hall won't keep you any longer after battle. Let the battle begin now. Who from your Penglai sect wants to go up?" After being mercilessly retorted by the Lingyun Hall master once again, the Penglai sect's divine child's rage that he had calmed down over the night flared up again. He was so angry that he really wanted to fight the Lingyun Hall master before him. After taking a few deep breaths, the Penglai god's son calmed down. He ordered the 15 disciples who had come with him, "Lu Yu, you go up first. Give some pointers to the prodigies of the Lingyun Hall." One of the Penglai sect's disciples, known as Lu Yu, bowed slightly at the Penglai sect's divine child's words. "Yes, divine child." Lu Yu then flew down to the arena that was 3,000 feet wide. Looking at the tens of thousands of people from Lingyun Hall, Lu Yu did not have stage fright. Instead, he said with some arrogance, "I am Lu Yu, a core disciple of the Penglai sect. Wu Zun is at the pinnacle. Who dares to challenge me? F***CK, this bastard is really arrogant. This is Ling Yun Hall's territory. Do you think this is your home? As soon as Lu Yu finished speaking, a disciple of the Ling Yun Hall at the pinnacle of Wu Zun realm who had participated in the Central Plains Heavens chosen competition also flew down from the spectator stand above. After landing on the arena, he said to Lu Yu of the Penglai sect with a cold expression, I am Han Lin, a core disciple of the Ling Yun Hall, Wu Zun Pinnacle. In the Ling Yun Hall, an elder of Wu Shun's seventh heaven announced the start of the competition. Lu Yu of the Penglai sect and Han Lin of the Ling Yun Hall turned into two streaks of light and shadow as they engaged in a fierce battle. Under the restrictions of the battlefield's array, the two of them could only fight in a small area with a radius of 3,000 feet and a height of 2,000 feet. The violent energy and powerful shockwaves from the fierce battle collided with the array of the battlefield, causing waves of ripples to appear. As time passed, the battle between Lu Yu and Han Lin was still going on fiercely. Both of them were using the Penglai Divine Technique and the Ling Yun Immortal Sutra to fight against each other. During the battle, they were also probing the depth of each other's strength and familiarizing themselves with each other's fighting style. After getting a general idea of Lu Yu's strength, Han Lin immediately launched an even fiercer attack, pushing Lu Yu into a disadvantageous position. On the other hand, Lu Yu of the Penglai sect was having a hard time resisting Han Lin's sudden increase in ferocity. However, as time passed, it became harder and harder to resist, and he was about to lose. Any martial artist above the realm of Wu King could see the situation of the battle below. If Lu Yu of the Penglai sect did not have any tricks up his sleeve, Han Lin of the Ling Yun Hall's victory was already set in stone. Naturally, the upper echelons of the Ling Yun Hall were delighted and nodded in satisfaction. The Ling Yun Hall's Elder of Internal Affairs even said to the Penglai Divine Child rather smugly, It seems that the disciples of your Penglai sect are just SOHO. But before the Penglai Divine Child could say anything, another Penglai sect elder of the Penglai sect, who was at the seventh tier of Wu Sheng, said with a displeased look, The outcome is still uncertain until the end. Our Penglai sect's disciple was merely careless. How could he be so weak? Even so, the elder of internal affairs of the Ling Yun Hall was not worried that his disciple would lose. After all, Han Lin was a disciple groomed by the Ling Yun Hall and had experienced many life-and-death battles. Naturally, he would not make the low-level mistake of underestimating his opponent and failing miserably. In his view, victory was assured. Hence, he smiled and said, Oh, let's keep watching then. The outcome will be decided soon. And just as the elder of internal affairs of the Ling Yun Hall had expected, as a core disciple who had experienced countless battles, Han Lin would go all out and unleash a torrent of attacks once he gained the upper hand, not giving his enemy any chance to turn the tables. Lu Yu of the Penglai sect might have other ultimate moves that could turn the tables, but Han Lin kept him suppressed and could only defend passively without any chance to use his ultimate move. After resisting dozens of moves with great difficulty, Han Lin kicked Lu Yu in the chest. Even as Lu Yu was sent flying and vomiting blood, Han Lin did not let his guard down and continued to press forward, brandishing his sword and attacking Lu Yu mercilessly. It was only when Lu Yu was heavily wounded and completely defenseless that Han Lin pointed his sword at Lu Yu and said coldly, You've lost. Do you admit defeat? Lu Yu was vomiting blood and his entire body was in excruciating pain. Without any strength left, he glared hatefully at Han Lin. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said word by word, I admit defeat. Hearing Lu Yu's surrender, Han Lin sheathed his sword and did not turn around. Instead, he faced Lu Yu and retreated until he was 10 feet away. Throughout the process, Han Lin did not let his guard down and kept a close eye on Lu Yu. It was only when the formation of the arena was closed and the elder who acted as the referee came to the arena to announce Han Lin's victory that Han Lin returned to his seat outside the arena. In the first match, Han Lin of the Ling Yun Hall had won, while Lu Yu of the Penglai sect was heavily wounded. Everyone from the Penglai sect was looking gloomy and unhappy. On the other hand, the upper echelons of the Lingyun Hall, as well as the elders and disciples who were watching the match, were all secretly delighted, especially after the match was over. But before the outcome was confirmed, Han Lin's calm and vigilant behavior left the upper echelons of the Lingyun Hall very satisfied. After suffering such a crushing defeat in the first match, the calm expression of the Penglai sect's divine son turned ugly instantly. He had been boasting before the match, but he did not expect to be slapped in the face in the first match. Where should he put his face now? Somewhat annoyed, the Penglai sect's divine son turned to another disciple of the Wu Shun First Heaven and said, "Yuan Kuin, you're up for this match. You must win." After the Penglai sect's divine son had said that, the Penglai sect's disciple named Yuan Kuin stepped out and said, "Yes, divine son." After answering the Penglai sect's divine son, Yuan Kuin flew down to the arena and looked at the disciples of the Lingyun Hall with contempt. His tone was still haughty as he said, "Yuan Kuin of the Penglai sect, Wu Sheng First Heaven. Who dares to challenge me? Damn it, you're the ones who lost, and yet you're still acting all high and mighty. You really don't know what's good for you." Yuan Kuin's haughty attitude really angered the disciples of the Lingyun Hall, who were in a good mood. They could not wait to punch him in the face. Chapter 172. I'll do it. With a slightly cold answer, a disciple of the Lingyun Hall who was also at the first heaven of Wu Shang, Lin Yuan, flew and landed on the arena. Looking at Lin Yuan on the opposite side, Yuan Kuin of the Penglai sect said arrogantly, "Humph, the people of my Penglai sect were careless in the last round and let you win by luck. However, I will not make the mistake of underestimating the enemy. In this round, I will let you know that the dignity of my Penglai sect is not to be offended. If you..." Before Yuan Kuin could finish, Lin Yuan of the Lingyun Hall interrupted him unceremoniously. "You're so long-winded and long-winded like an idiot. Are you going to fight or not? If you want to fight, then shut up. If you don't want to fight, then get lost. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Lin Yuan's words directly embarrassed Yuan Kuin, who was still feeling good about himself. He said with an ugly face, "Well, you're very good. I'll let you." As a result, Lin Yuan did not wait for him to finish and directly launched an attack on him. He was the typical type of person who did not say much. Lin Yuan's sudden attack caught Yuan Kuin, who had not finished speaking, a little stuffy and unprepared. However, he was also a genius of the Penglai sect, so he quickly adjusted his state and fought with Lin Yuan. He fully operated the Penglai divine tactics and was on par with Lin Yuan, who was at full strength. However, his heart was filled with anger toward Lin Yuan, and he could not wait to tear Lin Yuan into pieces. However, although he could not wait to kill Lin Yuan, as the battle continued, Yuan Kuin found a reality that he could not accept. That is, he could not beat Lin Yuan on the opposite side and was slowly falling into a disadvantageous position. No matter how he attacked with all his strength, Lin Yuan of the Lingyun Hall on the opposite side received all of his attacks. On the contrary, it became more and more difficult for him to resist the attacks launched by Lin Yuan. How is this possible? How can the people of the Lingyun Hall be stronger than me? Yuan Kuin of the Penglai sect was at a disadvantage, and this situation was naturally seen by the people of the Lingyun Hall and the Penglai sect. While the Lingyun Hall side was naturally delighted, the faces of those from the Penglai sect turned even uglier. They truly did not expect that they would still be at a disadvantage even after fighting for so long in the second round. By the looks of it, they were about to lose again. What in the world was going on? Each and every one of them were the cream of the crop in the Penglai sect. Why couldn't they even beat someone from Lingyun Hall the moment they stepped into the arena? Were their mental fortitude that weak? What a bunch of trash! Penglai's son of God thought angrily. The way he saw it, the disciples of the Penglai sect must be stronger than those of the Lingyun Hall. It was just that their mental fortitude was lacking. The result of the battle between Yuan Kuan and Lin Yuan was as expected. In the end, Lin Yuan won. Yuan Kuan of the Penglai divine sect was the same as Lu Yu in the previous battle. He was seriously injured and had no power to resist. That left the people of the Penglai sect disgruntled, with one of the Penglai sect's 8th Wu Xing ranting, "Isn't your Lingyun Hall going overboard? Why did you beat up our people so badly when you've already won? Did you do it on purpose?" The elder of punishments of the Lingyun Hall retorted without hesitation, "Humph, what do you know? It's inevitable to get injured in a competition. Besides, our Lingyun Hall is not like your Penglai sect, which is hiding overseas. Our disciples have been fighting against the devil race for a long time. It's a battle of life and death. In order to save our lives, it's natural for us to kill. Over time, it's become a habit. We've already shown mercy by sparring with your disciples. Do you think our Lingyun Hall's people are flowers in a greenhouse? You, the Penglai sect's Wusheng powerhouse who spoke just now, was aggrieved by the words of the Lingyun Hall's elder of punishments. He was so angry that he was speechless. Well, there's no need to flaunt your sharp tongue. It's just 2 losses. Our Penglai sect was too careless. The real competition is coming up next. Zhao Xian, you're up for this battle." Seeing that his own elder could not win against the Lingyun Hall's people, the Penglai sect's divine child quickly came to the rescue and sent out another disciple to fight. For victory, he sent out Zhao Xian, whose martial arts cultivation had reached Wu Sheng's 3rd heaven. The Penglai sect disciple named Zhao Xian strode into the arena. Dressed in an embroidered robe, he stood at the center of the arena and lifted his head slightly, staring coldly at the Lingyun Hall disciples around him without saying a word. What the hell? What kind of sick habit was that? How could they be so arrogant even after being defeated? How could they be so awesome? At first, the Lingyun Hall disciples around them had been delighted by their 2 consecutive victories. But when they saw that the Penglai sect's people were still behaving arrogantly as if the heavens were their number 2, they blew their top at once. Then, another Lingyun Hall disciple named Zhou Xian, who was also Wu Sheng's 3rd heaven, strode into the arena as well. After the Lingyun Hall's elder, who was acting as the referee, gave the order to start, Zhao Xian and Zhou Xian did not waste any time and started fighting at once. There were no restrictions in this battle. Zhao Xian used the Penglai sect's Penglai godly sword technique, while Zhou Xian used the Lingyun Hall's Lingyun immortal sword technique. Both men soared thousands of miles into the air, unleashing their full power in the boundless skies as they clashed fiercely, with streaks of incomparably sharp sword chi shooting out from the vast skies from time to time. Of the 2 fighting, Zhao Xian was born with the 10,000 swords mystic body, a mystic low-tier special constitution. Zhou Xian, on the other hand, was born with no special constitution. Even so, his comprehension and aptitude were high, and he later cultivated the mystic Wuling physique, a middle-tier spirit-tier constitution by chance. Moreover, he had participated in breaking the world's seal twice, greatly increasing his potential and elevating his constitution to spirit-tier pinnacle. But unlike Zhao Xian of the Penglai sect, Zhou Xian had gone through countless battles against the demon race, and his combat experience and ruthlessness were much stronger than Zhao Xian's. As such, the 2 were evenly matched in their battle. The fierce battle lasted for 4 hours. Zhou Xian held a slight advantage, but it was not obvious and could be turned around by Zhao Xian at any moment. Overall, the 2 were still in a stalemate. At the sight of the result, everyone from the Penglai sect and the Lingyun Hall appeared rather surprised. To tell the truth, neither side had expected that Zhao Xian and Zhou Xian would be evenly matched after fighting for so long. Both men were among the top 5 among the disciples of the Penglai sect and the Lingyun Hall. They had thought that victory was in their grasp, and did not expect that they would be evenly matched. In response, those from the Penglai sect could not help curbing some of their arrogance, and their evaluation and status of the Lingyun Hall rose a little. At the same time, the Lingyun Hall also put away the disdain and belittlement towards the Penglai sect after their 2 victories. Seeing that this could not go on, the 2 men might fight for an entire day and night without a clear outcome if they did not stop them. The master of the Lingyun Hall shot a look at the elder of technique imparting, who then cleared his throat and said to the Penglai son of God, "Since they are evenly matched and there's no point in dragging things out, why don't we call this a draw?" Deep down, those from the Penglai sect agreed with the Lingyun Hall elder's suggestion. They did not want to drag things out either, which was why the Penglai son of God pretended to consider it before saying reservedly, "If that's the case, the Penglai sect will let him off. It's a draw. Zhao Xian, please stop." At the Penglai son of God's words, the higher-ups of the Lingyun Hall inwardly cursed the Penglai son of God for being so prideful, even as they ordered Zhao Xian to stop. After hearing the orders from their respective factions, Zhao Xian and Zhou Xian watched warily as they distanced themselves from each other before returning to their respective camps. Chapter 173. Please recommend and bookmark me. Thank you, everyone. The 3rd match ended in a draw between the Lingyun Hall and the Penglai sect. After 3 matches so far, the Lingyun Hall had 2 wins and 1 draw. It was a result that the Lingyun Hall could accept gladly, but the Penglai sect could not, and would have to get back at them. The Lingyun Hall master then told the Penglai divine child and the others nonchalantly, "It's getting late. The Lingyun Hall would at most have 2 more matches with you. Now that we're fighting the abyssal demons, every disciple has things to do and missions to complete, and we don't have much time to waste on such things." Hearing the Lingyun Hall master's implied words, the Penglai sect's disciples were at once aggrieved and furious. Even so, they could only endure with 2 losses and 1 draw, who told them to boast and look down on the Lingyun Hall's disciples, only to have their faces slapped resoundingly in the face. Gritting his teeth, the Penglai divine child sent out 2 Wu Sheng 4th heaven prodigies, who were second only to him. Although those 2 disciples were at a higher level than Zhao Xian, that was only because they had cultivated for a longer time than Zhao Xian. They might not beat Zhao Xian even if they were at the same level. He hated himself for saying that he would not fight in the first place, or he would have one for sure. While the Penglai sect sent out 2 Wu Sheng 4th heaven prodigies, the Lingyun Hall's disciples were not to be outdone. Similarly, 2 Wu Sheng 4th heaven prodigies stepped out and faced off against each other. To save time, the 2 matches were held at the same time this time. After the Lingyun Hall elder, who was the referee, gave the order to start, the disciples of the Penglai sect and the Lingyun Hall began to fight each other. 4 Wu Sheng 4th heaven prodigies unleashed their power without restraint in the vast skies, fully focused on intense battle against their opponents. The 2 simultaneous battles continued for almost 4 hours under the watchful eyes of the crowd. The Lingyun Hall and the people of the Penglai sect each employed their own methods, unleashing powerful attacks and moves in a grand display of force. This time, the 2 disciples of Lingyun Hall began to gain the upper hand. Although it wasn't very obvious, as time passed, the situation was developing in a favorable direction for Lingyun Hall. He believed that as long as the spectators could afford to wait, the final victory would be Lingyun Hall's. Just as the champions of the Lingyun Hall could see the direction and the final outcome of the battle, those of the Penglai sect could naturally see it as well. Even so, there was no need to mention the annoyance, embarrassment, and resentment in the hearts of those from the Penglai sect. It was especially so when the Penglai sect's son remembered the words he had said to the master of Lingyun Hall before the start of the battle. Comparing the results of the 5 matches, he could not wait to find a hole to crawl into. It was simply too embarrassing. Seeing that the final 2 matches were about to end with the Penglai sect's defeat, those from the Penglai sect wanted to stop the battle and end it in a draw. However, their long-standing pride prevented them from swallowing their pride and taking the initiative to call it quits. Since they kept their airs and did not say a word, the people of Lingyun Hall were even less likely to say anything. After all, they were not the ones who were in a hurry, and the worst that could happen was that they could just wait for the final outcome. After another hour, The two disciples of the Lingyun Hall were gaining an increasingly greater advantage. Finally, those from the Penglai sect could not hold back any longer. They could not afford to lose the last two matches, or their sect would be utterly humiliated if they were to lose 4 out of 5 matches and 1 draw. Therefore, among the Penglai sect's ranks, one of Wu Shang's 9th Heaven super champions said to the master of Lingyun Hall, "Lord Ling, it's not a good idea to keep dragging things out. Since both sides are in a deadlock and there's no clear winner, why don't we end it in a draw? Since your disciples are pressed for time, there's no need to waste any more time." Damn it, you guys are really shameless. You have the nerve to spout such nonsense? One could not help but be impressed by your ability to lie through your teeth. Upon hearing the words of the Penglai sect's expert, the group of experts from the Lingyun Palace were left dumbfounded. They were clearly the ones who had the upper hand, and the outcome would have been decided in another 4 hours. But in the end, they were the ones who claimed that it was a tie. The arrogance, shamelessness, and pride of the Penglai sect was something that they could only concede defeat to. The master of Lingyun Hall stared blankly for a moment at those words, before turning to glance at the expressions of the Penglai sect's people with a puzzled expression, especially when he saw the Penglai sect's arrogant and matter-of-fact attitude. Inwardly, he found the Penglai sect and the others as if they were a bunch of clowns. These clowns were still immersed in the memories of the Penglai sect's tyrannical and unbridled, glorious deeds back in ancient times, arrogantly and blindly believing that their sect was the best in the world and that everyone should indulge and serve them. Even if they were about to lose, they still assumed that the Lingyun Hall would give them face and agree to end the match in a draw. All of a sudden, the master of Lingyun Hall pitted the Penglai sect's people and could no longer raise the thought of being angry with them. He recalled a saying he once heard from the Haoranjin sect that applied to the Penglai sect. Factions like the Penglai sect are arrogant, conceited, and immersed in their own world. Most of their members suffer from the halo of retarded villains who think too highly of themselves. In fact, they are merely stepping stones used by those with great fortune or factions to harvest experience and reach the pinnacle. The master of Lingyun Hall found that saying very fitting at that very moment. With that kind of character, they still want to measure the depth of the Haoranjin sect? Why don't they ascend to the heavens? The Haoranjin sect. That's right, he could have the Haoran Orthodox sect teach the Penglai sect a lesson. After forming an alliance with the Haoranjin sect for more than 160 years, the master of Lingyun Hall was very familiar with the way the Haoranjin sect did things. It was the kind of style that did things openly but not pedantically and specialized in dealing with all kinds of dissatisfaction. With Yi Tianzong, who was recognized as an invincible champion in the Central Plains, the Haoranjin sect feared no one. If you treat me with sincerity, I'll treat you with sincerity. If you harbor ulterior motives and play tricks, I won't play the gentleman's game with you, and I'll have no qualms about using underhanded means. But if you dare to provoke me and cause trouble, I won't let you get away with it and will teach you a lesson. Hee. Let's see how the hot-tempered people of the Haoranjin sect will deal with you then. The master of Lingyun Hall could not help but feel that his sudden idea was very wise, and his mood improved in an instant. Hence, he said, you have a point. Since that's the case, let's call it a draw and have them stop. Although the other higher-ups of Lingyun Hall did not understand why the master of Lingyun Hall would agree to such a ridiculous suggestion, none of them objected, and directly sent someone to instruct the two disciples and the people of the Penglai sect to stop. After both sides stopped fighting, the master of Lingyun Hall said to the Penglai Shensi and the others, "Since the competition is over and you all want to go to other forces to compete as soon as possible, the Lingyun Hall will not keep you any longer. I'll send someone to lead you out of the Lingyun Peak later." Pausing for a moment, the master of Lingyun Hall continued with an inexplicable look on his face. "Of course, if you all want to see the prodigies of the major forces of the Central Plains as soon as possible. It just so happens that the Lingyun city beneath the Lingyun Peak has a portal that connects to the Kunlun sect and the Haoranjin sect. You can go to the Kunlun sect first, and then to the Hao-Ranjin sect. The Hao-Ranjin sect's strength is not bad, although they have only been around for a few thousand years and only have one Wu Sheng ninth heaven elite. Their disciples are still very outstanding and not weaker than the disciples of our Lingyun Hall. You can go after challenging the disciples of the Kunlun sect. That way, you will have a better chance. All right, I'll arrange for someone to lead you down the mountain. With that, the master of Lingyun Hall arranged for 2 Wu Sheng third heaven elders to lead them down the Lingyun peak under the gloomy faces of the Penglai Shensi sect disciples. After the Penglai Shensi sect disciples left, the elder Chuan of Lingyun Hall said with a strange look, "Master, don't you think you're being a little too cruel? The Penglai Shensi sect disciples had a bad start here. You didn't tell them about the strength of the Hao-Ranjin sect and let them go to the Hao-Ranjin sect first. They must think that you're up to no good and will go to the Hao-Ranjin sect first. Just look at how arrogant and condescending they are. If they challenge the disciples of the Hao-Ranjin sect, the people of the Hao-Ranjin sect would never let them get away with it. Let's not talk about the final result. Whether they can come out alive is another matter altogether. You're being a little too cruel here." After the elder Chuan finished speaking, the higher-ups of Lingyun Hall reacted as well. They immediately understood the master of Lingyun Hall's intention and could not help laughing. That's right. According to the elder Chuan, if the Penglai Shensi sect disciples really did not believe in heresy and went to the Hao-Ranjin sect first, whether they could come out alive was another matter altogether. While the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect might be a little wary of the Penglai Shensi sect, the Hao-Ranjin sect was not afraid of them at all. With Yi Tianzong's strength alone, even if the Penglai Shensi sect sent 3,000 Wu Sheng 7th Heaven elites to attack the Hao-Ranjin sect, as long as the Hao-Ranjin sect activated their defensive formation, Yi Tianzong would definitely be able to wipe out the Penglai Shensi sect disciples. Therefore, the upright people of the Hao-Ranjin sect would never let the Penglai Shensi sect disciples have such bad habits. It was very likely that a fight would break out at the slightest disagreement. When that happens, one could only imagine what would happen to the Penglai Shensi sect disciples. The soaring cloud palace master chuckled and said indifferently, "Elder technique imparting technique, you're wrong. I'm just being kind. I know that they can't beat the disciples of the Haran Orthodox sect, so I kindly reminded them to go to the Kunlun sect first to accumulate some experience. If they stubbornly refuse to listen to my advice, then they can only blame themselves for not knowing the good intentions of others. It has nothing to do with me." After the soaring cloud palace master finished speaking, the higher-ups of the soaring cloud palace around him suddenly laughed tacitly. Chapter 174. On the other hand, the Penglai Sect's party who had failed at the Lingyun Hall had arrived at Lingyun City with a gloomy look on their faces. After Lu Yu and Yuan Kuan recovered from their injuries, the Lingyun Hall master and the others did as they expected. They did not heed the Lingyun Hall master's suggestion and headed straight to the Hao-Ranjin sect. Moreover, the Lingyun Hall master had already informed the Hao-Ranjin sect of the Penglai sect's intention to challenge the Hao-Ranjin sect. In the message that the Lingyun Hall master had sent to the higher-ups of the Hao-Ranjin sect, he had briefly explained the Penglai sect's actions in ancient times, as well as their arrogant style of doing things. Having understood the situation, the higher-ups of the Hao-Ranjin sect had also thought about how to deal with the Penglai sect's party who was about to challenge them. 7 days later, the Penglai sect's party appeared in Haran City. According to normal procedure, they would first hand in their visiting card and wait for the Hao-Ranjin sect's response before entering Tiangang Peak to meet with the higher-ups of the Hao-Ranjin sect. However, the Penglai sect clearly did not want to do that. They had gathered a lot of information and intelligence before this and knew that the young master of the Hao-Ranjin sect was known as the #1 elite of the Central Plains. The Hao-Ranjin sect was also very powerful and was one of the overlords of the Central Plains, just like the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect. Even so, in the eyes of the Penglai sect, the Hao-Ranjin sect could not be mentioned in the same breath as the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect. It was all just someone else's bragging. The Hao Ranjin sect only had one Wu Sheng at the ninth heaven, and that was the young master of the Hao Ranjin sect. Even if he was the most powerful elite of the Central Plains, how powerful could he be? At best, he was equivalent to dozens of Wu Sheng at the ninth heaven, and that was already giving him a lot of face. How powerful could such a sect be? It was not even worth the Penglai sect's visiting card. It should be the Hao Ranjin sect who took the initiative to curry favor with them. Otherwise, they would destroy the Hao Ranjin sect if the Penglai sect was in a bad mood. With more than 500 Wusheng at the seventh heaven, it was more than enough to deal with the overblown Hao Ranjin sect's exaggeration. With such a sense of superiority, the people of the Penglai sect caused a huge commotion the moment they arrived at Haran City. All 500 Wusheng at the seventh heaven and above unleashed their powerful aura. Then one of them said arrogantly, "The Penglai sect has arrived. Where are the people of the Hao Ranjin sect? Come and greet us." His arrogant voice spread across the entire Haran City. Everyone in Haran City at the moment, be it ordinary people, major factions, or independent cultivators, all looked at the Penglai sect's people who were standing in the air above Haran City in surprise when they heard that voice. Everyone was puzzled. Where did these self-proclaimed Penglai sect people come from? How could they have the guts to cause trouble in Haran City? In Haran City, the people from Lingyun Hall were the most surprised. These people were specially sent by Lingyun Hall to Haran City to gather information about the Penglai sect. Still, what they did not expect was for the people of the Penglai sect to be so brazenly provoking the Haran Orthodox sect right in the middle of Haran City, asking for the people of the Haran Orthodox sect to hurry up and greet them. Damn, why are you guys so awesome? What the hell are you guys thinking? Don't you know anything about the Hao Ranjin sect? You're so arrogant to look down on the Hao Ranjin sect. It would be strange if the people of the Hao Ranjin sect didn't kill you. It was not just the people from Lingyun Hall who thought so. The people from the other major factions thought so too. After so many years, this was the first time they met someone who dared to come to Haran City and provoke the Hao Ranjin sect. Sure enough, after the Penglai sect's people were done talking, they stood proudly in the sky and waited for the people of the Hao Ranjin sect to come and greet them. Yi Tianzong, who was in Haran City, was annoyed. His annoyance meant that the Penglai sect's people were in for a bad time. Bastards, how dare you cause trouble in Haran City? You don't know what's good for you. Yi Tianzong bellowed. Then his entire person appeared in the sky in an instant. He slapped out a heaven-covering palm at the Penglai sect's people, who were still standing proudly in the sky. After the golden palm print appeared, it slapped towards the Penglai sect's people at an extreme speed. Moreover, it was still expanding rapidly. By the time it got close to the Penglai sect's people, the golden palm print had already reached a size of 200 feet and completely shrouded the Penglai sect's people. Sensing the majestic power contained in the huge golden palm print, the faces of the Penglai sect's people who were standing in the sky changed drastically. They quickly unleashed all their strength and launched all kinds of powerful attacks to destroy the golden palm print that was right in front of them. However, was the heaven-covering palm that Yi Tianzong slapped out with all his strength that easy to break? As the Penglai sect's people watched in disbelief, the power of the golden palm print became weaker and weaker after being attacked by them. However, it still carried a powerful aftershock and slapped on their bodies. At the same time, Yi Tianzong urged the power of his spirit to launch an attack on their primordial spirits. Under the double attack, the Penglai sect's people were all sent flying while vomiting blood. They suffered serious injuries and fell from the sky. This was especially true for the Penglai sect's man who was shouting for the Hao Ranjin sect's people to pay their respects. His primordial spirit was directly destroyed by Yi Tianzong, and he was dead. After Yi Tianzong made his move, Yi Haoran and the other Wu Sheng class experts of the Hao Ranjin sect immediately appeared. These Wu Sheng class experts came directly to the ground where the Penglai sect's people had fallen. They were not interested in talking to the Penglai sect's people at all. They only said, "You've got guts to come to Haran City and behave atrociously." Then they continued to attack the Penglai sect's people. Although the Penglai sect's people were injured, they were not to be outdone by the attacks of the Hao Ranjin sect's experts. Immediately, their anger boiled as they fought against the Hao Ranjin sect's experts. Wu Sheng of the Hao Ranjin sect deliberately led the Penglai sect's people to the sky. The Penglai sect's martial artists who wanted to vent their anger on the innocent people in Haran City had their primordial spirits destroyed by Yi Tianzong's spirit power. The Penglai sect's people felt aggrieved, stifled, and angry. They could not understand why they kept hitting walls after coming to the Central Plains. First, they wanted to show off their strength by fighting in the Lingyun Hall, but they ended up suffering a terrible defeat. They thought that they could pick on a soft persimmon first, but before they could show off, they were slapped to the ground and injured badly. Now, they were being ganged up on by this Wu Sheng of the Hao Ranjin sect. This was especially true for the Penglai sect Shensi. Although he was injured, he still had most of his strength. But now he was being suppressed by a Wu Sheng's fourfold heaven. This feeling made him feel so aggrieved and angry that he was about to go crazy. The Penglai sect's people were seething with anger as they fought with the Hao Ranjin sect's Wu Sheng's experts thousands of miles up in the sky. The Penglai sect's people were of high realms and powerful, but because they were injured by Yi Tianzong's attack, they could not use their full strength. Therefore, they were surrounded and beaten by the Hao Ranjin sect's Wu Sheng's simple Haran Tiangang sword formation. No matter how the Penglai sect's people roared and attacked, they were trapped in the middle and could not break free. The fierce battle lasted for more than 4 hours. In the end, the Penglai sect's people were defeated. On the other hand, the Hao Ranjin sect's Wu Sheng's experts did not listen to the Penglai sect's people's cries for them to stop. They continued until they were all heavily injured and could not fight back. Chapter 175. Yi Tianzong and the elites of Hao Ranjin sect arrived at a spacious manor with the Penglai sect members who had no power to resist. Looking at the severely injured Penglai sect member who was lying on the ground in front of him, Yi Tianzong asked, even though he already knew the answer, "What is your Penglai sect trying to do by openly provoking our Hao Ranjin sect in Haran City?" The Penglai sect son of God's expression was full of hatred as he said coldly with a venomous look in his eyes, "You Hao Ranjin sect people are very good. Since you know that we are from Penglai sect, you have the audacity to attack us. You are finished. Let me tell you this, when I return to my sect, I will gather all my forces to destroy your Hao Ranjin sect. I will tear you all to pieces. Ha ha ha." Yi Tianzong felt that he was not on the same channel as the other party and could not communicate at all. Ever since the Lingyun Hall master sent the news, Yi Tianzong and the higher-ups of Hao Ranjin sect had made the necessary preparations. According to the Lingyun Hall master's description of the Penglai sect's moral conduct, Yi Tianzong had been staying in Haran City for the past few days to avoid any uncontrollable accidents, and the result did not disappoint him. The Penglai sect members began to cause trouble as soon as they arrived in Haran City. Hearing their arrogant words, Yi Tianzong could not help but attack. Now that they were severely injured and held captive, they were at his mercy. And yet they still dared to threaten the Hao Ranjin sect and even wanted to settle the score with them after returning to Penglai sect. Yi Tianzong really could not understand what the so-called Penglai sect's son of God was thinking. Why did he think that he could return to Penglai sect alive? Did he think that Hao Ranjin sect and himself would not dare to kill him? Looking at the somewhat deranged Penglai sect's son of God, Yi Tianzong could not help but recall the world he had been in before. There were many people like the Penglai sect's son of God, but in the end, they were all uprooted by him and his faction. Looking at the Penglai sect's son of God with pity, Yi Tianzong lost interest in talking. He looked at the Penglai Sek son of God indifferently, then reached out and pressed his hand on the top of his head to search his soul. Penglai Sek's son of God's soul searched him. The indescribable Son of God screamed in agony. His 7 orifices began to bleed, and his injured body, which was unable to move, began to After obtaining the information he wanted, Yi Tianzong glared at the Penglai Sek son of God in disgust before slapping him to death with a single palm. According to the worldview of a normal person, the Penglai Sek son of God was unpardonably evil. He bullied men and women, ran amok, killed people for their treasures, raped women, and so on. His crimes were innumerable and could be considered heinous. Still, because he was the son of the Penglai Sek's leader, his outstanding talents and special constitution, the Penglai Sek's leaders turned a blind eye to his crimes. After the Penglai Sek son of God, Yi Tianzong selected several Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven champions from the Penglai sect to search their souls. In the end, at Yi Tianzong's signal, the Hao Ranzhen Sek son of God wiped out the rest of the Penglai Sek son of God. With that, the Penglai sect, who had intended to flaunt their prowess in the Central Plains, were utterly defeated in the righteous sect because of their prideful and arrogant behavior. After wiping out the Penglai Sek son of God, Yi Tianzong, Yi Haoran, and the rest of the Hao Ranzhen Sek son of God returned to Tiangang Peak. In the Haoran temple, Yi Tianzong spoke to the leaders of the Hao Ranzhen sect. We've just obtained some information from the Penglai Sek son of God after searching their souls. The Penglai sect is located on a massive island in the boundless seas, more than 300 million miles away from the Central Plains. This time they had come to the Central Plains with the intention of taking advantage of the time when the various factions of the Central Plains are at war with the demon race to challenge the heaven son of God of the various factions and show off their might. Then they would extend their reach into the Central Plains and loot a burning house like they did in ancient times, abusing their power and plundering the various cultivation resources of the Central Plains. Yi Haoran said after hearing that, "It seems that the Lingyun Hall Master was right. Even though the Penglai sect is a true faction of the human race, they have never done anything beneficial to the human race. In ancient times, not only did they stand idly by in the face of the powerful demon race in the abyss, they even looted a burning house and used despicable means to plot against the factions of the Central Plains. They are truly a disgrace to the human race." Yi Tianzong sneered and said, "Humph! The Penglai sect is a scourge sooner or later. Even now they still refuse to change their ways and still want to revert to their old ways of ruling over the various factions and abusing their power. For their own benefit, I can't rule out the possibility that they would cooperate with the demon race. I already know the location of the Penglai sect. In a couple of days I'll go overseas and give them a big gift so that they won't be able to fend for themselves and cause trouble for us." Yi Haoyun said with some concern, "According to the Lingyun Hall Master, the Penglai sect is very powerful, even more powerful than the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect in their heyday in ancient times. Tianzong, don't you think you should reconsider? Don't take risks so easily." Yi Tianzong smiled and said, "Don't worry, uncle. I'm not stupid enough to fight the Penglai sect head-on. I'm just going to give them something. Aren't they powerful and have a lot of experts? Then I'll help them reduce the number of experts they have. That way, they won't have the strength and energy to make trouble for us." Yi Haoran said, "Well, in that case, Tianzong, you must be careful. If you can't do it, then give up. Now that the Hao Ranzhen sect is not to be trifled with, we don't need to be afraid of any other faction." Yi Tianzong said, "Yes, I know, Father." Later, Yi Tianzong discussed the future development plan of the Hao Ranzhen sect with the higher-ups of the Hao Ranzhen sect, as well as some accumulated problems of the sect. Then they went their separate ways. The Hao Ranzhen sect continued to operate and develop as usual, but the news of the Penglai sect's annihilation had reached the ears of the Lingyun Hall, the Kunlun sect, and the major factions of the Central Plains. After hearing the story, the Lingyun Hall Master and the Kunlun sect Master could not help but shake their heads helplessly. They could only sigh that the Penglai sect had kicked an iron plate. The other factions of the Central Plains had different reactions. Some were happy, some were indifferent, and some were hostile. But in the end, they did not express any opinions publicly. 2 days later, Yi Tianzong left the Hao Ranjin sect alone without Ling Xinyue and headed for the Boundless Sea. At the border between the Central Plains and the Boundless Sea, Yi Tianzong looked at the boundless and unfathomable sea. His mind was in turmoil and he was inexplicably excited. After he calmed down, Yi Tianzong found that his state of mind, which had been stagnant for a long time, had improved a little. Although he was happy, Yi Tianzong did not forget the business of this trip. Without stopping for too long, he directly soared into the sky and turned into a stream of light, flying toward the distant sky. Yi Tianzong's flying speed was very fast. He could fly millions of miles in a quarter of an hour. After flying for a day, Yi Tianzong finally saw a huge island in the distance that looked like a continent spanning tens of millions of miles. Since he had arrived at his destination, Yi Tianzong was not in a hurry to act rashly. Instead, he stopped on an island with a radius of tens of thousands of miles in the surrounding sea and planned to rest for a day. Chapter 176. The gigantic island that the Penglai sect occupied was called the Penglai Divine Island, with tens of thousands of islands of various sizes spread out over 100 million miles around it. There were also martial factions and clans of varying strength on those islands. Although there were many factions, all of them were willing to submit to the Penglai sect's tyrannical might out of fear. Aside from handing over huge amounts of resources to the Penglai sect every year, they also had to send their best disciples to the Penglai sect. In the name of gaining better opportunities for cultivation and having a bright future, the Penglai sect was actually trying to cut off any possibility of other factions threatening them. Therefore, those talented disciples would be controlled by the Penglai sect using secret techniques after they were sent to the sect, becoming their slaves. One could only imagine what their future would be like. The Penglai sect's intentions were not difficult to understand. That was why even if the factions of various sizes within 100 million miles around did not dare to voice their anger or openly rebel, they would basically hide any talented disciples that appeared, never letting the Penglai sect get wind of it. The island that Yi Tianzong stopped at was called Liyuan Island, which was about 50 million miles away from the Penglai Divine Island, where the Penglai sect was located. Liyuan Island spanned 50,000 miles and was ruled by the Liyuan sect. The most powerful person in the sect was a Wu Sheng Sixth Heaven elite. That was what Yi Tianzong heard from the martial artists on Liyuan Island after he stopped at the edge of the island. However, that had nothing to do with Yi Tianzong. With the information he obtained from the Penglai Divine Child Soul, Yi Tianzong had a good understanding of the Penglai sect. At the same time, he also had a plan to infiltrate the Penglai sect, which was basically no problem. With a plan in mind, Yi Tianzong naturally had nothing to be anxious about. He had not seen the scenery of the ocean ever since he was reincarnated into the profound spirit realm, and it was a good time to enjoy the scenery. Thus, the night passed uneventfully. When dawn broke, Yi Tianzong turned invisible and left Liyuan Island. To avoid trouble, Yi Tianzong flew directly to the Penglai sect. After spending more than 2 hours, Yi Tianzong finally arrived at Penglai Island. The Penglai Divine Island spanned over tens of millions of miles. Although it was occupied by the Penglai Divine sect, they only occupied a large portion of the island. The remaining areas, which were millions of miles in radius, were all designated by the Penglai Divine sect for people from other islands to come and go. Casting invisibility, Yi Tianzong's body melded into space, concealing himself as he headed straight for the central divine mountain of the Penglai sect. With the information he obtained from the Penglai Divine Child soul searching, Yi Tianzong spent almost 6 hours before he finally arrived at the heart of the Penglai Divine sect. He was only tens of thousands of miles away from the Penglai Divine sect's main camp, the central Divine Mountain. Given Yi Tianzong's speed, He could cover tens of thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. Still, he did not act immediately. Instead, he entered the immortal mansion, his lips curling into a sinister smile as he cast a secret technique from the heaven's expanse, mystic scripture, form shift. In just a few breaths, Yi Tianzong had assumed a different appearance. If anyone from the Hao Ranjin sect, the Lingyun Hall, or the Kunlun sect were here, they would be surprised to find that Yi Tianzong's presence was almost identical to the demon envoy who had ambushed them before, with the only difference being his appearance. Penglai divine sect, didn't you say you'd rather ambush your own kind than fight the demons? Well, I'll add fuel to the fire and let you have a taste of what it's like to be ambushed by demons. In his demon envoy form, Yi Tianzong took out a long black blade used by demonic martial artists from the Heaven's Expanse Immortals collection, as well as a jade bottle containing the drowsy powder. The drowsy powder was a smoke that could confuse a martial artist's spirit, causing them to hallucinate. This was something Yi Tianzong had created in his previous life. Once the jade bottle was broken, all martial artists below Myth Realm within a circular area of 250 miles would start hallucinating due to the effects of the drowsy powder. The effect lasted for 6 hours. Now that he was fully prepared, Yi Tianzong kept his body concealed after leaving the immortal mansion and headed straight for the Penglai Divine Mountain. Following the memories of the Penglai Divine Child, Yi Tianzong headed straight for the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain's room. Simply making a scene was not Yi Tianzong's style. The resources that the Penglai Divine Sect had accumulated over millions of years had moved Yi Tianzong, and there must be many treasures of heaven and earth that would be very useful to him. And the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain was the best medium to obtain those resources. Even if it was impossible to obtain all of them, Yi Tianzong's trip overseas would not have been in vain even if he could obtain just a portion. Stealthily evading the eyes and ears of the Penglai Divine Sect and the elites of Wushang, Yi Tianzong headed straight for the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain's room. It was almost evening, and the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain was not in the room. Therefore, Yi Tianzong did not look around and instead hid in the room, quietly waiting for the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain to return. Yi Tianzong concealed all of his presence and waited patiently, and the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain finally returned at night. With the memories of the Penglai Divine Child, Yi Tianzong was very certain that the chieftain of the Penglai Divine Sect was the one who had returned. The Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain did not notice anything out of the ordinary after returning to his room. As usual, he went to the cultivation room deep within the room, sat cross-legged on a piece of 10,000-year-old warm jade, and began to cultivate. After the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain entered his cultivation state, Yi Tianzong revealed himself and took out a formation plate that could block out sound and yuan qi ripples. Injecting mana to activate the formation plate, Yi Tianzong covered the cultivation room of the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain. Having made all the preparations, Yi Tianzong retracted his own aura. Like an assassin hiding in the shadows, he approached the Penglai Sect master who was in the midst of cultivation. Naturally, the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain did not expect that someone would be able to evade his layers of defenses and security to silently enter his room. That was why, when Yi Tianzong's single blow left him heavily wounded and on the brink of death, there was a look of disbelief on the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain's face. To avoid any accidents, Yi Tianzong put away the formation plate and carried the immobilized Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain into the immortal mansion before soul-searching him. The chief of the Penglai Divine Sect had already reached the early 8th heavenly realm of the martial saint realm. If one wanted to search his soul, only a myth realm expert who had grasped the secret art of searching souls would be able to obtain some information. Still, for Yi Tianzong, who had once fought his way up to the pinnacle of mythical 6th heaven, soul-searching the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain was quite easy. Even as the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain screamed, Yi Tianzong finally obtained the information he wanted from his memories. It was only after the Penglai Divine Sect's chieftain had completely lost all signs of life that Yi Tianzong obtained enough information through soul-searching. Looking at the Penglai divine sex chieftain's corpse, a cold glint flashed across Yi Tianzong's eyes. Like son, like father, just as the Penglai divine sex chieftain had committed heinous crimes, his father was a sinister and despicable sinner as well. His crimes were no less than the Penglai divine sex chieftain's, and it was truly too easy for him to die, just like that. Reaching out, he took a storage belt from the Penglai divine sex chieftain's corpse. The belt was 20 meters in size and had a certain degree of defensive capabilities, being of a higher grade than a storage bag. It contained most of the Penglai divine sex chieftain's collection, as well as some of the sect's martial arts and techniques. Since it was still early, Yi Tianzong took a closer look at the Penglai divine sex chieftain's collection and found that there was indeed quite a lot of good stuff. For example, there were spirit herbs, strange fruits, elixirs, and miraculous medicines that could aid in martial arts cultivation, as well as all sorts of crafting materials. There were also some vicious poisons, forbidden items, and so on. But what surprised Yi Tianzong the most was that he found a million-year-old cold steel that was half a foot in size. The million-year-old cold steel collected by the Penglai divine sex chieftain was at least one. 3 million years old, an excellent material for crafting divine items. Even Yi Tianzong did not manage to find such a material after he had dominated the world in his previous life. Even 10,000-year-old cold steel was an excellent material for crafting divine items, let alone a million-year-old cold steel, which was more than enough to craft God-Emperor items. Such million-year-old cold steel could only be found in the depths of the ocean in a high-level medium-class world or above, and was something that could only be found by chance. To think that the dead Penglai divine sex chieftain would give Yi Tianzong such a pleasant surprise. He probably thought that the cold steel was only 10,000-year-old. Chapter 177. Yi Tianzong did not find anything else that could surprise him after finding the million-year frost iron. Still, that was enough. Even if he failed to steal from the Penglai sect's treasure vault, Yi Tianzong felt that this trip was worth it. After checking everything, Yi Tianzong looked down at the dead Penglai sect chieftain at his feet, conjuring a flame with a wave of his mana to incinerate the corpse into ashes. After some thought, Yi Tianzong did not leave the immortal mansion. At the moment, many Wu Sheng elites must have gathered in the Penglai sect chieftain's room, and he would have to fight if he went out now. In truth, Yi Tianzong had learned from the Penglai divine child's memories that every person above Wu Zun tier in the Penglai sect would leave a Yuan spirit life token in the sect. As long as the person who left the token dies, the corresponding Yuan spirit life token would shatter, and the guardian of the token would know. The Penglai sect must have learned that the Penglai divine child's party had been wiped out in the Haoranjin sect, and would investigate to the end to find out why the Penglai divine child's party had fallen, where they died, and who did it. From the Penglai sect chieftain's memories, Lin Feng learned that the Penglai sect would send a group of Wu Sheng elites to the Central Plains tomorrow to investigate the cause of the Penglai divine child's death. Still, since Yi Tianzong was already here, he would not let the Penglai sect's people reach the Central Plains so easily. And Yi Tianzong's guess was right. The entire Penglai sect was on high alert right now, with every Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven elite gathered outside the Penglai sect chieftain's room. There were 600 of them. That was twice the number of Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven elites combined from the Lingyun Hall and the Kunlun sect. The shattering of the Penglai sect's chieftain's Yuan spirit life tablet meant that he was dead, having been killed in his own home base. What did that mean? It was an unbridled provocation and disregard for the Penglai sect. Moreover, if the culprit could kill Wu Sheng's 8th heaven chieftain without a sound, it meant that they could do the same to anyone else. That's right. All the 9th heavenly layer martial saints present believed that their chief had been plotted against. Otherwise, how could he have been killed without a sound? Although the world was currently recovering, it could only accommodate experts below the myth realm, because the strength of myth realm experts far surpassed that of martial saints. It was impossible for them to appear. Therefore, the sect chieftain's ninth heaven chieftain had been ambushed. There is no one who could be allowed to sneak past our Punglai sect's defenses, sects of God, as ninth heaven chieftains who could sneak past our sect's defenses to get close to Yi's. Who could not be that person, persons must be a traitor. I must seek justice for Ehai. If anyone has anything to do with Ehai's death, I will kill their entire family. Although the chieftain's words were harsh, none of the Wusheng ninth heaven elites present objected. After all, the deceased Punglai sect chieftain was the son of this ninth heaven chieftain of Wusheng. Both his son and grandson were dead in just a few days. Although there were still descendants, Xian Ehai and Xian Yichen were his most outstanding descendants. Both of them being dead was definitely a huge blow. Moreover, they themselves believed that the traitor had something to do with this matter. Otherwise, would the Punglai sect's defenses be just for show? How could that be? Therefore, the only explanation was that there was someone else within the sect who was dissatisfied with Xian Ehai and wanted to replace him. Therefore, they planned to kill him. None of them would allow such an action that clearly crossed their bottom line. If the traitor could kill Xian Ehai, the sect chieftain, then the traitor could do the same to them. They would never allow such a potentially fatal danger to appear. Every member of the Punglai sect above the realm of Wu King was mobilized. They thoroughly investigated any possible anomalies in the past month and would not rest until the culprit was found. After 4 hours in the outside world, Yi Tianzong estimated that there were not many Wu Sheng elites outside. Therefore, he appeared in the Punglai sect chieftain's room while maintaining his abyssal demon envoy appearance. After Yi Tianzong appeared, he quickly scanned the situation within 100 miles with his soul. He saw that there were more than 3,000 experts above the 7th heavenly layer of Martial Saint, and more than 100 experts above the 9th heavenly layer of Martial Saint. At the moment, there were still 10 Wu Xing 8th heaven elites standing guard in the Punglai sect chieftain's room. Seeing Yi Tianzong's sudden appearance in his abyssal demon envoy appearance, the 10 Wu Xing 8th heaven elites in the room were taken aback. Then they bellowed, "Who goes there? How dare you trespass into the Punglai sect?" With that, the 10 Wu Xing 8th heaven elites attacked Yi Tianzong. Naturally, Yi Tianzong did not hold back. He came to the Punglai sect to stir up trouble, so he naturally would not show mercy to the people of the Punglai sect. Therefore, he held the demonic blade in his hand and launched a counterattack against the 10 Wu Xing 8th heaven elites who attacked him. With Yi Tianzong's strength, he brandished his saber 10 times in an instant. The condensed and domineering saber light easily split apart the attacks of the 10 martial sages. Under their terrified and incredulous gazes, the 10 of them were cleanly cut into 2 halves. After wiping out the 10 in the blink of an eye, Yi Tianzong then took to the air right before the eyes of the Punglai sect elites who had rushed over, breaking through the roof and heading straight for the skies. Having noticed the commotion, the Punglai sect elites naturally did not let Yi Tianzong go. Each of them furiously chased after Yi Tianzong into the skies. Yi Tianzong did not fly too high. After flying for just over 100 miles, he stopped and launched an attack at the Wu Sheng 8th heaven elites who were hot on his tail. Shifting the true yuan in his body and mimicking the nature of the abyssal demon tribe's power, Yi Tianzong held the demonic blade and engaged in a fierce battle against the Punglai sect elites. At first, the Punglai sect elites thought that it would be a piece of cake to take down Yi Tianzong, since they had so many people on their side. However, the outcome of the battle was beyond their expectations. Although he did not use the boundless godly sword and sword techniques, and could not reach the peak of his power, Yi Tianzong was very familiar with the Tao of Sword. However, Yi Tianzong was also very familiar with the study of the blade technique. Although the strength of the demonic blade was not as strong as when he used the sword technique, it was still stronger than when he was barehanded. Therefore, the Punglai sect elites, who were not mentally prepared, suffered a great loss. In just a few exchanges, 7 Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven elites were slain by Yi Tianzong, while a dozen others were injured. That result gave them a fright. Hence, they quickly called for reinforcements while using all their strength to delay Yi Tianzong. They could not let Yi Tianzong take the opportunity to escape. Yi Tianzong had no intention of running either. He simply slashed at the Penglai sect elites in front of him. He was much stronger, faster, and more powerful than them. Yi Tianzong was even using a spiritual attack, attacking them from 2 angles at once. 1 or 2 slashes was all it took to kill a Wu Sheng 8th Heaven elite. The Penglai sect elites who surrounded Yi Tianzong fell down one after another like dumplings. On Mount Penglai, a large number of Wu Sheng elites who received the news rushed to the scene. These Wu Sheng elites who rushed to the scene felt chills all over their bodies when they saw the falling corpses. Then they joined the ranks of those who besieged Yi Tianzong. As more and more elites arrived, all Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven elites of the Penglai sect joined the ranks of those who besieged Yi Tianzong, becoming the first to clash with Yi Tianzong. The remaining 8th Heavenly Layer and 7th Heavenly Layer martial saints formed an encirclement around them. And with the arrival of these elites, Yi Tianzong was left with nothing but defense. He had no power to fight back. Of course, Yi Tianzong did not know how shocked and horrified the Penglai sect elites were right now. If they had not seen it with their own eyes and experienced it for themselves, they would never have believed that an unfamiliar enemy of the same level as them could withstand the attacks of so many of them. Seeing that it was about time, Yi Tianzong decisively threw out the jade bottle containing the drowsy powder and disappeared instantly, entering the immortal mansion. Outside, the jade bottle that Yi Tianzong threw out was directly shattered by the Penglai sect elites. The moment the jade bottle shattered, the drowsy powder spread to an area of 500 miles in a very short time. More than 50,000 martial sages within a radius of 500 miles instantly fell into a hallucination because of the drowsy powder. This was especially true for the remaining 600 Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven elites who had been attacking Yi Tianzong. Because of Yi Tianzong's sudden disappearance, these people who were still attacking immediately mistook the person they saw as Yi Tianzong. As one could imagine, they immediately started fighting. Because of the drowsy powder, what was originally a normal encirclement turned into an internal fight, with their own people fighting their own people. After those Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven elites started fighting, the other Wu Sheng 8th, 7th, 6th, and 5th Heavens elites who were under the influence of the drowsy powder all started fighting one after another. Once they started fighting, the other Wu Sheng elites of the Penglai sect who were not under the influence of the drowsy powder were left dumbfounded. They could not understand why the encirclement had suddenly turned into an internal fight. Looking at how desperate they were, it was as if they could not wait to kill each other. What was going on? Although the remaining Wu Sheng elites, who were sober, did not understand what was going on, they knew that they must not let the fight go on. Therefore, they joined the ranks of mediators. But what they did not expect was that their intervention to be treated as enemies and attacked as well. This gave them a headache, and it was too late for them to escape. They had no choice but to fight desperately to save their lives. When they could not hold on any longer, they hurriedly called for others to help them. Therefore, more and more Wu Sheng elites joined the ranks of the battle and started fighting. The originally beautiful and sacred Penglai Divine Mountain was suddenly turned into a mess by these tens of thousands of Wu Sheng elites. Pieces of the mountain were destroyed and potholes were everywhere. Yi Tianzong's bottle of drowsy powder had thrown the entire Penglai sect into chaos. Just as the Wu Sheng elites of the Penglai sect were fighting fiercely, Yi Tianzong's defense had been raised to its peak. Even so, he maintained the appearance of an abyssal demon envoy and came out of the immortal mansion. The moment he came out, Yi Tianzong was attacked by 2 different forces. It turned out that he was at the center of the battle between 2 Wu Sheng elites. After wiping out the 2 Wu Sheng elites with his demonic blade, Yi Tianzong immediately retracted his aura concealed his figure, and disappeared from everyone's sight. Then he headed straight for the Penglai sect's treasury. With the memories of the Penglai sect's sect master, Yi Tianzong's search for the treasury went smoothly. After setting up a seclusion disc outside, he concealed himself and ambushed the 4 Wu Sheng Ninth Heaven elites guarding the treasury. Yi Tianzong then opened the Penglai sect's treasury according to the method he obtained from soul-searching. Instead of standing in the treasury like an idiot to see what was inside, Yi Tianzong did not even bother to look. Instead, he used a grappling martial technique. Instantly, 2 giant palms that were hundreds of feet in size violently grabbed everything they saw in the Penglai sect's treasury. One had to admit that the treasure vault of the Penglai sect was truly huge and rich. Yi Tianzong controlled the 2 giant palms that were 1,000 feet in size and kept grabbing for almost half an hour before he managed to collect most of the items in the vault. Seeing that there was nothing left in the treasury, Yi Tianzong did not linger. Putting away the disc, he headed for the next treasury. According to the soul-searching information Yi Tianzong obtained from the Penglai sect's sect master, the Penglai sect had a total of 7 treasuries. However, the sect master only knew the location and method to open 4 of them. The remaining 3 treasuries were prepared for beings above the myth tier and had existed for who knows how many tens of thousands of years. It was not something the current sect master of the Penglai sect could know. Chapter 178. After Yi Tianzong was done with the first treasure vault, he immediately concealed his figure, retracted his aura, and left for the location of the next treasure vault. Using the same procedure, he first set up an isolation array disk and a defensive demonic cloud array disk. The demonic cloud array disk was a simplified version that Yi Tianzong refined using the materials in the Immortal Mansion before he left for the Penglai sect using the materials in the Immortal Mansion. It was based on the grand defensive formation of a demonic sect in his previous life. This devilish cloud formation disk could be used 4 times. After activating the formation disk, it would be able to form a defensive formation permeated by endless devilish clouds within a radius of 50 kilometers, which would be able to withstand the attacks of 29th Heavenly Level Martial Saints. After setting up the 2 array disks, Yi Tianzong broke the defensive formation of the second treasure vault and killed the guards. After opening the vault, without looking at what was inside, 2 giant palms that were hundreds of feet in size reappeared, and large swathes of items were collected by Yi Tianzong into the Immortal Mansion. After spending nearly half an hour, Yi Tianzong was almost done collecting the items in the second treasure vault. Then Yi Tianzong put away the array disc and headed for the 3rd treasure vault without stopping. Soon, he arrived at the location of the 3rd treasure vault. By then, Yi Tianzong's theft of 2 treasure vaults had been exposed, and the elites of the Penglai sect who did not join in the battle had all gathered at the remaining 3 treasure vaults. Yi Tianzong looked at the endless stream of elites gathering in front of the 3rd treasure vault and knew that his purpose had been exposed. It did not take him long to figure out that it was because he had killed the guards of the treasure vault. Their primordial spirit life tablets had shattered, and the people of the Penglai sect had found out about his intentions. But it did not matter. These people were not enough for him to kill at all. It would just take a little more time. Imitating the tone of the abyssal demon envoy, Yi Tianzong cackled a few times before charging the power of his spirit to attack the people of the Penglai sect in front of him. Then, with a sweep of his demonic blade, countless murderous black blade flashes were unleashed, and the people of the Penglai sect who were hit by the double attack were instantly killed by Yi Tianzong. After killing the guards of the treasure vault again, Yi Tianzong did not have time to set up the demonic cloud array disc before he opened the 3rd treasure vault and began collecting the treasures inside without stopping. This treasure vault was at least twice as big as the 2 treasures that Yi Tianzong had collected before, and was a secret realm with a radius of 20 miles. As Yi Tianzong began collecting the treasures in the Penglai sect's treasure vault again, there was still an endless stream of people from the Penglai sect coming from all directions. Yi Tianzong killed the people of the Penglai sect as he collected the treasures in the treasure vault. This time, it took him almost 2 hours to collect everything in the treasure vault. Knowing that more people must have gathered in the other 2 treasure vaults, Yi Tianzong had no intention of continuing. Instead, he turned and concealed himself as he headed towards the 10,000 Laws Pavilion, where the Penglai sect kept their martial arts manuals and martial arts manuals. After arriving at the 10,000 Laws Pavilion, Yi Tianzong once again set up the isolation array and the demonic cloud array. Then he used the boundless, godly sword to cut open the protective array of the 10,000 Laws Pavilion. After that, he put away the boundless, godly sword and used the demonic blade to wipe out the 6 Wu Xing 8th heavenly layer elites guarding the 10,000 Laws Pavilion. After that, Yi Tianzong directly entered the 10,000 Laws Pavilion and began collecting all the secret manuals without restraint. By the time the people of the Penglai sect arrived, Yi Tianzong had already collected most of the secret manuals. However, the demonic cloud array formed by the demonic cloud array that Yi Tianzong had set up outside stopped the people of the Penglai sect in their tracks. At the moment, the Penglai sect was in complete chaos and lacking in high-end combat forces. Therefore, only dozens of Wu Shang 6 heavenly layer elites came to the 10,000 Laws Pavilion to lead them. In the face of the demonic cloud array that could stop 20 Wu Shang 9th heavenly layers, the people of the Penglai sect could do nothing at once and were hopping mad. After collecting all the secret manuals in the 10,000 Laws Pavilion, Yi Tianzong directly used the demonic blade to send out hundreds of black sword lights that were dozens of feet wide, completely destroying the 10,000 Laws Pavilion. Then he removed the demonic cloud array and directly wiped out the people of the Penglai sect. After wiping out those people, Yi Tianzong did not go anywhere else. Instead, he headed straight for Wu Shang's battlefield. Concealing his figure and aura, Yi Tianzong rapidly approached the center of Wu Shang's battlefield. Ignoring the others, Yi Tianzong specifically targeted the Wu Xing 8th and 9th heavenly layer elites, ambushing them. With Yi Tianzong's extraordinary power and weapon-wielding sneak attacks, who in the world could stop him? No one. Therefore, under Yi Tianzong's sneak attacks, the Penglai sect's Wu Xing 8th and 9th heavenly layer elites died one after another, cut in half by the demonic blade. Even their primordial spirits were destroyed by Yi Tianzong, cutting off any possibility of reincarnation through possession. On the vast battlefield, Yi Tianzong's sneak attacks were stealthy and unpredictable. Wherever he passed, no one was spared. The purplish-blue body and the pitch-black demonic blade were synonymous with death in the eyes of the Penglai sect elites. Affected by the drowsy powder, the elites of the Penglai sect began to hallucinate and treat everyone other than themselves as enemies. Even if they were well aware of the threat Yi Tianzong posed, they could not care less about him due to his elusiveness. Just as Yi Tianzong thought that the chaotic battle would continue until the effects of the drowsy powder wore off, an earth-shattering, thunderous chime of a bell pierced through the clouds, reverberating across hundreds of thousands of miles. Under the influence of the soul-shattering chime, everyone who was hallucinating under the influence of the drowsy powder woke up. After waking up, the people of the Penglai sect looked at each other and stared blankly at their fellow sect members who were about to attack them. After a moment of blankness, they abruptly realized that they had been ambushed and made a blunder. At the moment, the father of the Penglai sect's chieftain, who was still alive, the purple-robed supreme elder Wu Shang of the 9th heaven, roared furiously. That purplish-blue evil thing must not be allowed to leave our Penglai sect alive. With that, he made a beeline for Yi Tianzong, who was still engaged in a massacre. Yi Tianzong knew that the drowsy powder had lost its effect the moment the bell chimed. According to his understanding, it was at least a heavenly divine weapon that produced the chime, a divine weapon used by a 6th heaven, heavenly god. From that, Yi Tianzong understood that the Penglai sect's foundation was not as simple as it seemed. Even so, Yi Tianzong did not care even if the people of the Penglai sect had come to their senses. The reason why he was not retreating now was so that he could wipe out the Penglai sect's upper echelons as much as possible. This time, Yi Tianzong was not going to stay where he was and wait for the people of the Penglai sect to surround him. Instead, he relied on his strength, speed, and attack that far surpassed Wu Sheng of the Ninth Heaven to weave through the 100,000 Wu Sheng elites of the Penglai sect at breakneck speed. Even as he weaved through them at breakneck speed, he directed his spirit to attack Wu Sheng's Yuan spirit while brandishing his demonic blade to unleash streaks of murderous, tyrannical, and invincible blade light that did not linger in one place for even a tenth of a second. Even so, the price to pay for that was that Yi Tianzong's mana was rapidly depleting. Yi Tianzong's speed was simply too fast. In the eyes of the Wu Sheng elites of the Penglai sect, he simply ignored space and distance as if he was a beam of light. Before they could react, Yi Tianzong had disappeared from their side and from their sight, reappearing in another direction and massacring the people of the Penglai sect without restraint. How could they know that Yi Tianzong's understanding of the mysteries of space had already exceeded their imagination? Naturally, his speed was unbelievably fast. The people of the Penglai sect could not do anything to Yi Tianzong at all. Some of their trapping techniques could not be used in time due to Yi Tianzong's speed. Stamping with rage, they had no choice but to order everyone to disperse and not gather together. Then, some of the Wu Sheng elites above the Eighth Heaven landed on the Penglai Divine Mountain, took out piles of various materials, and stood according to special positions to form the Dragon Lock and God Trap formation. As the name suggests, the Dragon Lock and God Trap formation was a formation used to trap and seal the enemy. It was one of the trump cards that the Penglai sect used to intimidate the endless sea tribe in the boundless seas. After the formation was ready, the rest of the Penglai sect members below the Ninth Heaven of Wu Sheng had long retreated far away. Only the Ninth Heaven elites of Wu Sheng were still contending with Yi Tianzong. Afterward, those Ninth Heaven's martial saint experts led Yi Tianzong downwards. When they approached the Penglai Divine Mountain, those of the Penglai Divine sect activated the Dragon Locking God Trapping Grand Formation, which instantly enveloped the space within a radius of 50 miles.